Number one for local news in Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News, now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Friday, December 10th. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now in Ottawa, -8, in Smiths Falls, -5. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. A number of updates today on COVID-19 from the province. 2 more announcements expected today, 1 this morning, 1 this afternoon. More on that coming up in a moment. But Ottawa's top doctor with some advice for the holidays if you have members of your family who are not vaccinated. We'll have more with Dr. Etches coming up very shortly and on the Rob Snow Show at 9:45. But first, shoring up defenses as the 4th wave intensifies of COVID-19. Premier Ford is set to meet with his cabinet this morning in the face of rising COVID-19 case numbers to discuss the extension of the proof of vaccination requirement and cracking down on forgeries and dubious exemptions. An announcement from our province's top doctor is due later on today. And here's City News reporter Jamie Pulfer.
All of this comes as Ontario reports its highest daily COVID case count in more than 6 months. The province's pandemic picture looks a lot less rosy than anticipated. Because of that, City News has confirmed the Ford government will not be phasing out vaccine certificates in spots like restaurants, bars, sports and recreational facilities, or casinos next month as originally planned. Ontario's top doctor, Kieran Moore, was asked about it earlier this week.
We're meeting regularly with government and making ongoing recommendations to protect the health of Ontarians. One of them is the verification certification process, which I think has done us well in Ontario, protecting our businesses, keeping them open and minimizing spread.
And now the government is taking action. Premier Doug Ford's scheduled to meet with his cabinet at 10 a.m. ahead of a planned update from Dr. Moore at 2 p.m. We've also learned the province will adopt the QR code as the standard proof of vaccination to crack down on forgeries. And the Toronto Star reports the government is also clamping down on vaccine medical exemptions. A doctor's note is no longer going to cut it. It will now have to be taken to a local public health unit for verification. That information will then be included in the QR code system. Jamie Pulfer, City News.
Now, Ottawa's top doctor, Vera Etches, with some advice for the holidays if you have members of your family who are not vaccinated.
That may be an important person to have in your gathering. That may be an important connection for the health and well-being of your family. And so then you have other things you can do to decrease the risk of transmission. You can wear a mask. You can distance. You can open the windows, keep the ventilation high.
And once again, more with Dr. Etches coming up on the Rob Snow Show at 9:45. City News time 9:03. Now your forecast with meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Well, heads up if you're in the Renfrew, Pembroke, Barry's Bay area over to Algonquin. Freezing drizzle advisory has been issued for those areas. That'll come to an end later this morning, but just keep in mind some icy sections, sidewalks, parking lots, just extra care needed. Otherwise, cloudy conditions for the most part, the high near +1. We get into some freezing rain again overnight for early Saturday before all that rain and strong wind. For today, the guaranteed high, 1.
And right now we're in Ottawa -8. In Smiths Falls, it's -5 degrees. Well, fire crews confirmed there was no one inside a home on fire this morning on McCarthy Drive near Paul Anka. That's just off Hunt Club. 911 callers this morning indicated there might be children still inside that home. Firefighters arrived just after 7 o'clock this morning, but they scoured the house several times and report there was nobody inside. I'm Andrew Boyle for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Separating headlines
from hearsay.
It's the Rob Snow Show on Rogers TV and City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Friday. Made it. And it looks like we have finally made it to the end of this cold snap. Maybe as high as +12 tomorrow. Wet, though. But if we get to +12, that would be a new record high for the 11th of December. The current record high for that day in Ottawa is +9, which was set back in 1971. Good morning. Welcome to the Rob Snow Show on City News. We're always happy when you make that decision to spend some time with us. Lots of great Friday fare on the way. Legendary broadcaster, best-selling author Lowell Green will join us in a few minutes from now with his hot take on the current events of the day. Derek Fage will join us as well. He is the host of Daytime Ottawa on Rogers Television, frequent host right here on City News Ottawa. We will do the Queen's Park Week in Review with our MPPs ahead of what's going to be a major update from the Ford government, as we've been reporting all morning. Politicians and health officials this afternoon. You'll hear it live on City News, all about our fight against COVID-19. Dr. Kieran Moore was supposed to have an update yesterday. That was put off until today. The update will follow a cabinet meeting, which is being held this morning by the Ford government, which is supposed to begin within the hour. But there's been lots of back and forth this week at Queen's Park about COVID, Omicron, the situation with COVID in the schools, the deployment of rapid tests. We'll cover all of that off with our MPPs. That's it for Queen's Park for the year. And MPPs, how's this for a holiday break? MPPs will not return to the legislature until February 22nd. My goodness gracious, February 22nd. Who knows what shape Ontario will be in by then, February 22nd. But even by then, the focus won't be on legislating. It will be on winning re-election. The Ontario election, June 2nd. There is a line of thinking that goes like this. You know, a long break for politicians, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The less time politicians spend legislating, the less damage they do. Our special guest this morning, Ottawa's Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Vera Etches. I spoke with her this morning. We'll bring you that interview at 9:45. We covered a lot of ground. We talked about Omicron. We talked about what she's hoping for from this provincial update this afternoon. We talked about having unvaccinated members over for Christmas. What's her advice on that? You have to listen to find out. That is, again, scheduled for 9:45 this morning. And you are in the middle of it all during the Talkback Hour. To wrap up our work week, we'll do the Friday free-for-all Talkback Hour. That's our favorite hour of the week around here because we don't come up with the topics. We've come up with topics all week. We have lots of material to work with. Now it's your turn to come up with the topics, whatever you want to talk about. We just do our best to roll with it. Okay, 750-1310 is our call-in line right after the 10 o'clock news. 750-1310. 750-1310, 613-750-1310. You haven't complained about snow removal? You know, this week, have you been taking your life into your hands, trying to navigate the sidewalks of the city? Hey, I'll take that call. See that story yesterday, 1:30 on the Queensway yesterday? Ice flying off one vehicle through the windshield of another. Why are some people so... Oh, they're so lazy. Quite frankly, they're just lazy people. Self-absorbed, selfish people who can't be bothered to take out a snow brush and spend a couple of minutes getting the snow and ice off their vehicles. Don't be so downright irresponsible. It's dangerous. It's clearly dangerous. That woman had to be taken to the hospital. I don't know if you heard my Snow and 60 commentary this morning here on City News and Shea 106. This bugs me. And a bunch of politicians speaking out now about Bill 21. Now they're speaking about Quebec's Bill 21, the secularism bill. I don't call it the secularism bill. It is a state-sponsored hate bill, is what it is. And it's a law. And it's been the law for 2 years. And there's been 2 elections about this now. This has come up during leaders' debates in 2 elections. And none of these leaders, New Democrat, Liberal, or Conservative, ever defended anybody affected by Bill 21. And yet now we have people, they're speaking up now? Because of this news story about this popular teacher in Chelsea, Quebec, reassigned because she wears a hijab? You're speaking up now? Why? Because there's a face that you can put to the hate? Is that why? Where were you 2 years ago when some of us were calling this what it is, state-sponsored hate? Where were you then? Bunch of phonies. You're nothing but a bunch of phonies, all of you. Gutless. Leaderless. All of you. It's a disgrace. And if you're wondering why your grocery bill is going up by $1,000 next year, one reason is explained in an email that I received from a local dairy farmer yesterday from the Navan area. Glenn just placed his order for his farm for his fertilizer for next year, and the price has doubled. And that will cost him, just one farmer with a modest dairy operation in Eastern Ontario, that will cost him an extra $50,000. An extra $50,000. So we can talk about this or anything else during the Friday free-for-all this morning at 750-1310, whatever it is. Unload. Unburden yourself. You can sing my praises. You can curse at me. Well, try not to curse at me. But it doesn't matter. Just say my name right. This is the Rob Snow Show on City News.
An eye on your money. Brought to you by Desjardins. Here's Richard Southern.
Is now the perfect time for responsible investing? Is now the perfect time, Deborah?
It's always a good time to start investing, figure out your strategy, figure out your objective, your risk tolerance, ideally with an advisor that will help you and guide you with that. And then decide what you want to do with your money. Do you want to make money? And do you also want to make your money matter? And look into these responsible investment strategies because they have a way to improve investment outcomes because they have, improved risk management thanks to the ESG analysis. And they also have a way to improve world outcomes because we're investing in those companies that have a direct impact onto the environment and on communities.
Clearly, this is a good time to sort of start looking at this type of investing.
Desjardins, leader in responsible investment for 30 years. To learn more, visit Desjardins.
Papa Jack was started 14 years ago, really by accident more than anything. A friend of mine had bought a grocery store, a popcorn machine was in there, he didn't want it, I ended up by buying it. My family thought I was nuts. When I first said, come and pick up this popcorn machine, my son said, what the heck for? I won't use the exact words. But anyway, we started and it just kept on growing and growing. But at the time, I was the only one selling popcorn in Ottawa. But we persevered as a family, and here we are. So it's been very, very rewarding for my family and myself. And to see our brand name, Papa Jack, and Papa Jack came out of, I wanted something that was going to be very bilingual. So Papa, and then in Ontario, everybody called me Jack, even though my name is Jacques. In Quebec, it's fine, it's Jacques, but in Ontario, it was always Jack. So we married the two together, Papa, Jack. With the store that we have on Thurston Drive, it basically, the factory's in the back. If you come into the store, you can see how the popcorn is being made during the week. So it adds an extra layer of, you can see the sanitation, you can see how we do it. It's not like making popcorn. Most people thought when I started this, I was making popcorn in my garage or in my basement. No, never did. It was started in this building, in the back of the building, and then we kept growing and growing until what we have now. My daughter and my son came up with a brilliant idea to do a fundraiser online. So basically all people have to do is to register here, and we give them a special code number, and with that code number, they tell their friends.
10 a.m.
Good morning, Lowell Green.
Morning, Rob Snow. I just want you to know that it's not only the cost of food that is escalating. Last year, on average, from what I understand, we were paying about $10 a foot for Christmas trees, okay? Well, this year, it's $13 a foot. And by the way, you know that little spike that's usually on top of most Christmas trees? Sometimes it's 6-8 inches tall.
Sure.
You don't want to try to cut that off. That's part of the height of the tree. In other words, if your tree is really 7 feet, but then the little spike on top is another half foot, well, you're going to pay $7.50 for that or whatever. So it's $13 a foot for Christmas trees this year. I just thought I would alert everybody to that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Rob.
Yes.
On this business of COVID,
yes,
it seems to me that the really important figure here, or figures, not so much the infection rate, because what we're finding is that even people who are double vaccinated, in some cases, are coming down with very mild cases of COVID, right? We know that.
Sure. Yeah.
But so it seems to me the real key figure here is not the infection rate, because to a degree, the infection rate depends upon how many tests were done. The more tests, obviously, the higher the rate of infection. The real question here is, okay, how many serious cases? In other words, how many are being hospitalized?
Yes.
And this, to me, I don't understand why all we are being told, and this is the great emphasis, is on the infection rate, when really the real question is, okay, what's the hospitalization rate? That's what's key here. And I in many ways, I think what this is doing is adding a little bit of fuel to the anti-vaxxers argument. They say, well, what's the sense of getting vaccinated? We're only going to get sick anyway. Yeah, you may. The chances are slim, but you may. Some people are being reinfected. We know that. But as far as I can determine, and the facts seem to bear this out, it'll be very, very mild indeed. A good example would be Ottawa Senators. There were, about 10 or 13 of them that eventually came down with some form of COVID. Aside from the coach, who apparently became quite ill, for the most part, the players themselves, all of whom had been double vaccinated, it was very mild. In one case, I remember I think it was Watson, said, well, he lost his sense of taste and smell for a couple of days. But aside from that, almost no effects. I think that fact needs to be pushed a lot more. I hope that the medical authorities out there are not deliberately trying to panic us here, because if you only give us the infection rate, essentially you are kind of panicking us. I don't think, to be honest with you, even though the infection rate is going up, I don't think that the situation is nearly as serious as it used to be. Because if you see, the hospitals are not being jammed. Have a look at the number of hospitalizations, certainly in this city, and you will see very, very few in ICU. I just think that, I hope that they're not deliberately trying to panic us. I just really do. But
another thing I want to point out, because there was an opinion piece, I believe it was for CBC News the other day, that suggested, well, almost just as many vaccinated people are ending up in the hospital as vaccinated people.
That's not true.
And it's not true. And I want people to think about it like this. Okay, let's think about it like, let's say you have a town. Let's call it Lowellsville. Okay? And the population of Lowellsville is 10,000 people.
All very smart people.
10,000 smart people live there.
Yeah.
And 8,000 of them are vaccinated.
Okay.
Okay. And 2,000 of them are not vaccinated.
Precisely.
Okay. But let's say overall there's 100 people in the hospital, and let's say it's split 50-50. Let's say there are 50 vaccinated people in the hospital and 50 unvaccinated people in the hospital. Well, the fact is that 50 on 8,000 is a lower percentage than 50 on 2,000.
You're a mathematical genius.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
50 on 2,000 is 2.5% of the population.
Very true.
Whereas 50 on 8,000 is 0.6% of the population.
Precisely.
So to say there are just as many, in raw numbers there may be just as many, but you have to think about it in terms of the overall population.
Yes, But not only that, but the fact is that even though the number of anti-vaxxers is very small percentage-wide, that there's still far more people in hospital who are unvaccinated.
Yeah.
And I know.
So let me ask you this then.
Yep, fire.
Should we be tougher on people who aren't vaccinated? Should we ostracize them even more, separate them even more from society, make it even more uncomfortable for them?
Well, here's my analogy. I have people say, well, they have a right to their opinion. They are, their due respect, etc. But I classify it as this. If you have somebody out on the Queensway cutting back and forth, speeding, cutting people off, endangering lives, creating havoc, etc., or the possibility thereof, I have no respect for that person at all. They are being selfish. They are risking other people. They are risking their own life, and I have no respect whatsoever. As far as I am concerned, if today, with all the information we have, you are still refusing to be vaccinated, you are nothing more than the guy that's out on the Queensway speeding, cutting people off, and risking lives. That's what you are. You're risking. Not only are you risking your own health, and your family's health and life, for that matter, but you are prolonging we'll never get out of this until we've got everybody vaccinated, or almost everybody vaccinated. You're prolonging the infection here. You're prolonging the agony, and we've got all of the proof. Originally, when the vaccine came out, there was a great deal of hesitation. Well, this is so new. I want to wait and see. This is 2 years now. This is over 2 years. We have, so in Canada, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but there have been over 60 million vaccination doses administered in this country with almost no serious complications whatsoever. 60 million. And so the proof is there. You don't need to look around and see. The proof is everywhere. Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, we don't have all of these deaths happening in long-term care anymore.
Precisely.
Why is that? Why is that? When it used to just, if it got in there, just rampage through the entire home. That's not happening anymore.
No, it's not.
We didn't pray it away. We didn't wish it away.
There's something else that's driving me wacko here.
All right.
Sometimes it doesn't take a lot to drive this old guy wacko, right? They have reopened the Roxham Road illegal entry into Canada.
Right.
To this point, they tell us that about 55,000 people, God knows who they are, where they're from, or the conditions, etc. 55,000 people thus far in about two and a half years have entered this country illegally. Now, that's bad enough. But are you aware, Rob Snow, that these people are entering illegally today, tomorrow, next week, without in any way being vaccinated, or there's no questions asked, are you vaccinated? We don't know. There's no testing. Meantime, God help the good Canadian taxpayer citizen returning from God knows where, maybe just a brief trip to Ogdensburg. God help them if they haven't filled out that arrive canned form, which nobody can figure out and you can't get anyway. If you don't have proof of vaccinations, if you don't have proof of a recent test and so forth, as a Canadian citizen, if you don't have all this documentation, as long as both of my arms, and about as complicated, you may end up in a hellhole of a quarantine hotel someplace, begging for food and water and diapers. But if you want to be flown up from Guatemala or Panama or wherever the hell it is, or just from New York City, and you want to wander across the road with the assistance of our mounted police, no questions, are you vaccinated? We don't care. And you're not going to go into any quarantine hotel. It's astonishing. And one of the things that's really astonishing, Rob, is that we Canadians are so bloody apathetic, nobody seems concerned about it. I repeat, if you're a Canadian citizen returning from an overnight in Ogdensburg, you've got to have about 14 different documents, proof of this, proof of that, proof of everything. And if you don't, as I say, you may find yourself 14 days in a quarantine in a hellhole of a hotel someplace. But if you're coming across at Roxham Road, no problem. Pas de problème, monsieur. Entrez nous. Come on in. You're all, and we'll give you free food. We'll give you the welfare, the whole business.
Okay.
It's astonishing.
All right.
Other than that, how's things?
Well, I want to. I would like your. I've been from time to time expressing my outrage over Bill 21. I don't like Bill 21. It's totally discriminatory. I believe in the charter protections, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of belief, thought, and opinion. These are cherished charter rights, and the secularism bill in Quebec just overrides them. Now, in this case, it's a popular teacher in Chelsea, Quebec, who's been moved out of the classroom, reassigned to some sort of diversity position, which is kind of crazy, but nevertheless. Whether it's this individual or it's a Jewish teacher who wears a kippah, or a Sikh teacher who wears a turban, whatever the case might be, this is state-sponsored discrimination. And I think it's wrong, and I've said it's wrong for 2 years. And now all of a sudden we have Liberal MPs coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, this is a disgrace. Well, pardon me, like, where have you been? Like, Bill 21 Bill 21 didn't sneak up on anybody. This has been the law in Quebec now for 2 years. People have been fighting this.
Yeah.
For 2 years, the federal government's been nowhere. It hasn't been any friend to the people who are fighting against Bill 21. They've been cowards, silent cowards, all of them.
Rob, one of the I think the most unfortunate aspects is the fact that, by and large, the bulk of the population in the province of Quebec accept this.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Asked, they support it. It's very interesting that they support it until, holy geez, I know her. This is not unlike, I have to be careful drawing these comparisons, but it's not unlike the situation in Nazi Germany when, there began restrictions against Jews. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, and so forth. And people, for the most part, were accepting of this until it was their neighbor or their doctor. And then suddenly they said, oh, I didn't realize that this would affect you. To me, this is what's happening with this teacher in Chelsea. It's the real sad part here. I repeat, the fact that the great overwhelming majority of Quebecers support this. They support it until it's a friend of theirs, a relative of theirs, at which point they become very, very aghast. It's just human nature. It's unfortunate.
But where are the Federalists? Where are the Federalists?
The problem is one of the problems, of course, is that in order to win a federal election, you got to win Quebec, right?
Yeah, well,
and so the politicians know that most Quebecers support Bill 21, and so they are very reluctant to say anything derogatory about Bill 21.
And they're gutless. Then they're gutless. They're gutless. They're gutless people who are doing what is politically popular instead of what is right.
Well,
it's a disgrace.
Popular, but they're doing also what they they have to do in order to win. It's a tough decision. There's no question. If you're a politician, are you going to take an action that you know is going to damage you, probably cost you your job? I don't know. I agree with you. They should, if they had any principle whatsoever. But there's a real question whether in this country most people want people of principle or if they just want charismatic characters. I don't know. I mean, let's face it. Very, very few members of Parliament with more character and principles than Jane Philpott. Look at what happened to her. They chose somebody. So I don't know how much integrity even means to Canadians anymore.
All right.
The country is. We're heading in a direction that's in some cases not all that healthy, Rob.
Okay. We'll talk next week, Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
Lowell
morning.
Green. Legendary Hall of Fame broadcaster, best-selling author. This is The Rob Snow Show on City News.
Wow.
Now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Friday, December 10th. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now in Ottawa, -7. In Smiths Falls, -5 degrees. And here's what's making news this hour. Ottawa's top medical officer of health says if you have a dilemma this holiday season, a relative unvaccinated, who you want at your gathering, there are steps to take. Vera Etches says make sure everyone is masked, socially distanced, and also open a window to keep ventilation high. More with the doctor coming up on the Rob Snow Show in just a matter of minutes. The province is set to make a couple of announcements today. First, concerning the vaccine passports. There was an end date to this in January, but apparently that is going to be extended. The use of QR codes only for proof of vaccine is coming. Announcements on COVID measures expected at 10 o'clock from the government, 2 o'clock from the Chief Medical Officer of Health. Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson will be among the guests this afternoon on the Sam LaPrade Show. He'll talk city budget and the controversy surrounding the "Shut Up, Riley" comment made by Councillor Jan Harder to Riley Brockington. You might want to check your junk drawer. There is a $6.49 ticket worth almost $66,000. It's unclaimed from Christmas Day last year. You only have 1 year to claim your prize from OLG, so that's coming up in 15 days. This ticket matched 6 of 7 regular numbers in that draw and the bonus number from December 25th last year. City News Time, 9:32. I'm Andrew Boyle. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
He's the opinionated Ottawa icon.
The Rob Snow Show returns
on Rogers TV and City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Derek Fage is back. He is the host of Daytime Ottawa on Rogers Television. Good morning.
Today.
Sorry, Derek, I didn't hear you there. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Who's running the switchboard over there?
It's David, but we're both.
Oh my goodness.
We're both. Honest to goodness, a little full because we're having kind of a Christmas potluck here this morning.
Oh,
and,
my.
I had a 10,000 calorie breakfast, which included there's Jamaican patties, peel and eat shrimp, fried chicken, cheesecake, banana loaf, Rice Krispie squares.
Let me just pass along my thanks for the invite, you two. Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah,
really
I don't feel well right now.
Okay,
I could use a nap. I could actually use a nap, but anyway, how was your week at Rogers Television this week?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, it's the holidays, so a lot of things around the holidays, gift giving, holiday recipes. A lot of Christmas concerts, that sort of thing.
Right.
I would say the one standout for me, and this was probably a standout. You know, I've done hundreds, maybe thousands of interviews by now, Rob, and sometimes one just stands out above the others. And this is actually a colleague of ours. His name is Adam McCauley, and he's a connected home technician with Rogers Communications. And he came on to talk about the Rogers Employee Resource Team planning to give back to the Ottawa Mission.
Okay.
He went through the programs at the Ottawa Mission, which we had no idea until I started talking to him just shortly before the show.
Wow.
He lost his mother and father to both drug and alcohol addiction. His sister was murdered. One of his brothers was murdered.
Oh my God!
And his other brother died of brain cancer at the age of 14. He found himself swallowed up into the world of addiction and ended up. He was living in Sudbury. He calls the Ottawa Mission and says, "I need help. I got to get out of here." 5 days later, he shows up at the Ottawa Mission. Years later now, he's cleaned up his life. He's been sober for years and years. He's a connected home technician working with Rogers, and he's helping out with their
Holy cow.
With raising money for the Ottawa Mission. I just never heard anybody speak so honestly and authentically about the challenges and obstacles that they've gone through. And I encourage people to go to rogerstv.com because we put all of our segments up there.
Yeah.
And the segment with Adam McCauley will inspire you to give back. And his message to people on how to give back is quite incredible as well. I was really moved by it.
That's
it was
amazing.
Just an amazing story.
That's amazing. So we heard Sam LaPrade has the mayor on the program this afternoon. You interviewed the mayor as well. Is that right?
Not yet. So
Not
we're
yet.
We're going to do a full show, a daytime show with the mayor on December 21st. That is the plan. He has agreed.
Okay.
And we're going to do a year in review.
Sure.
So it's been quite a year for the mayor and,
Sure
and
has.
city council and members of the public. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be very interesting to see what he has to say and whether he's made his announcement yet. Right? He's supposed to announce whether he's running again in December, and we haven't heard that
Well,
yet.
you think he has to do it soon. You would have to think he has to.
Maybe
do it
it's an
soon.
exclusive on the Sam LaPrade show today.
Maybe it is. Maybe it'll be on Daytime Ottawa. I hope he saves it for the Rob Snow show myself, but that's just me.
One of us deserves it, Rob.
So let's go back to this budget meeting that happened this week. This is like a 10-hour city council meeting. So and sparks were flying, needless to say, and it's by you know 2 years into a pandemic, the idea that Jan Harder doesn't know how to use a mute button on Zoom yet is kind of beyond. But maybe she just wanted to tell Riley Brockington to shut up.
And Riley has taken it so well. I don't know if you've heard it.
Yeah, we have it here. Let's play it here. Let's play it. Okay.
Police do not have an easy job, and you are absolutely a key ingredient to community.
Shut up, Riley.
Sorry?
I shouldn't laugh, but
guess Councillor Harder doesn't believe this is important.
Okay.
To community.
Shut up, Riley.
Shut up.
To
Riley.
community.
Shut up, Riley.
Shut up, Riley.
Wow.
Holy smokes, right?
Unbelievable.
So
I withdraw what I did not hear me say. That has to be one of the greatest quotes of all time.
That is epic. That is. Do you have that, David?
Mr. Mayor, if I said that, okay, it was a reaction. No, but I don't recall saying it.
Okay, so
And
that's the...
if I did, if that's what you heard, then that's unfortunate. And I withdraw what I didn't hear me say.
We should just play that on a loop every now and then just to cheer ourselves up.
And I withdraw what I didn't hear me say.
I withdraw what I didn't hear me. That's unfortunate.
Then
that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
What is going on there, Rob?
Yeah.
What is happening?
And then the mayor, one of our crosstown rival radio stations, the mayor is doing some kind of promotional video for them, and he makes these remarks about how the female co-host is yapping all the time and interrupting, and some people thought that was sexist and misogynist, and that created
it went crazy on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And the radio station pulled the video. I guess they pulled the video from.
Oh, they did, but they haven't apologized, as far as I know.
All right.
So
nobody's apologized. Nobody seems to be apologizing for anything. I mean, the best you can get out of anybody is.
I withdraw what I didn't hear me say.
I mean, why not just apologize for that? That I don't understand. Why would you? I mean, we've got it. It's on tape. It was live on television. I mean, just apologize and be done with it, and most likely you're going to move on because Riley took it so well. I listened to Riley on a rival radio station talking about it, and he said, "You know what? It's forgotten as far as I'm concerned. I'm moving on. Tensions are high on city council. You've got 24 different personalities and opinions, and so he was really classy about it."
Yeah.
And all she had to do really was apologize, and I think we would have moved on. Instead, we've got the quote of the year here in the city of Ottawa.
And I withdraw what I didn't hear me say.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad.
It's dysfunctional, though. It's just I guess the mayor's moving forward with his agenda, but it just seems to be a dysfunctional city council to me. I mean,
it is, and it's going to be the most fascinating municipal election that I think we've seen in years and years, for sure. Yeah. I'm so curious to see how many councillors end up being reelected, and whether the mayor runs or not. I mean that's going to be huge as well. I was thinking at first that he was going to run, but now I don't know. Now I'm on the fence. I'm about 50-50 on it. What do you think? Do you think he's going to run?
I think he's going to run. Not only I'll make this prediction, and I'm suck at making predictions. I have a terrible record. I think he's going to run, and I'll say this, he's going to run and he's going to win in a landslide. That's what I'm going to say.
In a landslide?
Yeah, he's going to win by 20 points.
I guess it depends on who's running against.
I said it right here. I say it right here.
Okay.
December 10th. December 10th, 2021. Jim Watson in a landslide.
If I had to make a prediction, I would say he's going to run. I don't think he's going to win in a landslide. But he'll win. He'll win fairly well. I think his numbers will be pretty good. Municipal elections, I always find that people go in and they get into their little box there and they look down and they just tick off every name they recognize because, people don't do their research, and that's why we keep getting the same.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't, it's municipal politics, right? So we'll see what happens. Anyway, an extra $1,000 for groceries. An extra $1,000 for groceries. Yeah. Right. And remember, you have to take home the $1,000. So you have to earn about $1,300 or $1,400 to net $1,000. So this is
exactly.
For a lot of people, this is like a month's worth of wages for some people, right?
Absolutely.
What are you seeing out there? Food inflation. What do you see when you go to the grocery store?
Where you go. I'll tell you this, we don't often go down to that area. I just happened to be down there at TD Place, and we went into the Whole Foods because we just had to grab a couple of things. Holy jeez. A cauliflower was like $6. Right. Broccoli was, I think, the same thing. It was like $5.99.
Wow.
My wife and I are walking around going like, who shops at this place? Yeah. Who can afford to shop here?
It's free range, though. It's free range broccoli, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, for sure. I mean, everything's organic, and, that's all well and good. But, my local Metro has some organic, and it's not $7 for a cauliflower and $6 for a broccoli. And then the meat section at any grocery store right now, you can just go along, and it's, I'm chicken and pork is pretty much all I'm buying now. I mean, beef is at a ridiculous
Oh, you're lucky you can
right
afford
now.
Chicken.
Hey, head over there to Giant Tiger,
Yeah.
They got decent prices on the chicken. They're not your free roam, free range probably, though.
Okay. Hey, we got to wrap it up because our interview with Dr. Etches is coming right up. So everybody wants to hear that. But look, have a great weekend.
You too.
And we'll talk to you next week, Derek Fage. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yep, the host of Daytime Ottawa on Rogers Television, Derek Fage. Dr. Etches next on City News.
Opening a business especially in a pandemic, in that kind of situation, is very challenging. First, people don't know me, people don't know my product. To build a new clientele, to build a trust for them, to show them that I care about it. I do love my food. That was the biggest challenge. And of course, in all lockdown, where I had to face it regards my employee, guests, ladies, what they work for me, I didn't want to tell them, sorry, I'm closed, I'm not having a job for you. No, they have families, they have kids to feed. So this is very important because we are family orientated. And we decided to open. We, of course, essential business. So been very tough, very, very tough, as we didn't see people on the road. Market was completely quiet, but we knew that we have to wait, and we knew that we're gonna be fine. In this town, we built online shop, Vedel Online, and we did Uber Eats, which one is picking up and is very, very popular. We have a really good feedback. So this is the song from my heart. And and we try to expand. I'm thinking about opening another location. So I want to make Vedel famous. I want to make the Vedel place to be for all the families with kids. Try the traditional food, what the grandparents cooked in the countries when they're from, or even Canadian people. They're more than welcome to come and try our famous pierogis. I try to be passionate about my food, organic food made with love, with all homemade, organic. So you can find food from all over the Europe: Polish, German, Ukrainian, Romanian, French, Armenian, so all kind of different types of food. Homemade lunches, we focus on the homemade lunches, grandma style. I keep always saying, like in my Genia Babcia house, how she cooked, I wanted this love and this food over here because I believe that would bring all people around me. And all the organic cold cuts, lovely selection of sausages, cheeses, European cheeses, great selections of mustards, French cookies. All what you need from Europe you can find here at the Wedel Touch of Europe. If you think good way, that's it. You have to, I had the option to cry in the corner and say, oh, pandemic is coming. No, you need to stand up and fight for it and have your eyes open, think outside of the box and do it.
City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it's always such a great pleasure to have Dr. Etches back on the program. Dr. Vera Etches is Ottawa's Medical Officer of Health. Good morning.
Good morning, Rob.
You issued a statement yesterday about the current situation with COVID-19 in our city, and you said you're concerned. What are you most concerned about?
What we see right now is, explosive growth in the amount of COVID that children 5 to 11 are encountering. And we see it reflected in the school outbreaks in elementary schools, but we see the connections to the community. So where children are gathering indoors, especially without masks, it just is... it's leading to more transmission, and we know from the past and we know from the science table data, this eventually touches other age groups, and it eventually can lead to hospitalizations and death. And it's the rate of growth, the striking change this week, and the pattern, that we see across the province that is concerning, because we know people are only planning to have more connections as the holidays come, and we haven't yet seen what's going to happen with Omicron. So now is a good time to pull back and think about, are there activities I can pause? What can I do to decrease the risk? Take it outside, wear a mask indoors, or make sure people are vaccinated.
Okay. You say in your statement, quote, the best way to limit passing COVID-19 is to prevent close contacts in higher risk settings. What qualifies as a higher risk setting? You call them the 3 C's.
That's correct, because it all comes down to how is COVID transmitted. And it's transmitted by respiratory droplets, sometimes smaller particles that can be in the air a bit longer. So in closed spaces, the first C, where there's poor ventilation, that's indoors, you're going to have a greater risk of picking up COVID if it's there. It's also that close contact. So the second C, if you're in a crowded space, you're going to come into contact with more people that are closer to you. Again, it could be COVID there, and it's more likely to be passed on. And the last one actually is close contact. So that is people who are closer to you without masks on. They're not physically distancing. Also, if people aren't vaccinated, then again, it's more likely COVID's there, and you're going to encounter it. And I want to be so clear that vaccination provides really good protection, and it's still possible to get COVID when you're vaccinated, especially we're seeing maybe with the Omicron variant coming, that third dose booster is going to bring people's protection up again as high as it can be. But it's just when there's too much COVID in the community, it's even going to reach people who are vaccinated. And fortunately, hopefully, people won't get the severe illness. But again, if it's too many people, too many exposures, we will get those bad outcomes.
Okay. I want you to be as clear as possible on these questions. What should I do if an unvaccinated person wants to come over to my place for the holidays, or an unvaccinated person wants me to go over to their place for the holidays? What's your advice? What should I do?
I think, it will depend on your situation. But I think people understand when you're coming from a place of caring which people in Ottawa are. They've been vaccinated because they care to protect themselves. They care to protect others. And that same, care and the desire to not contribute to growth of COVID in our community is underlying when people are being careful about gathering with people who might not be vaccinated. So explaining the rationale, you can blame it on me.
Blame it on you. Okay.
This is a time where we need to be careful, and it's a way of caring for one another when we work to decrease COVID transmission. We don't want someone unvaccinated to end up with severe illness. And so we're trying to take care of each other. So talking about that, why you're vaccinated, making sure people know where to get information and where to get vaccinated. But also, each family is going to have to decide that may be an important person to have in your gathering. That may be an important connection for the health and well-being of your family. And so then you have other things you can do to decrease the risk of transmission. You can wear a mask. You can distance. You can open the windows, keep the ventilation high. You can even do some more things outside. So I think it's about doing that assessment and for your family, thinking about how do you decrease the risk. And it may be then you're not going to invite 2 other families. You're just going to focus on the one family where there's maybe someone unvaccinated, but it's an important gathering. And so not add up the risk of more people, possibly being exposed or contributing to the risk for that unvaccinated person.
Okay. There will be an update this afternoon from provincial health authorities, your colleagues at the provincial level, and political leadership. What will you be listening for in the update this afternoon?
Well, we know that, I see that people in Ottawa know how to decrease COVID transmission. When they hear that this is a time to take action, they do. However, sometimes it's not enough to advise people, and not everyone gets the message. And so what we're looking for is, are there provincial measures that could help people have an environment that creates less contact between each other? So, other provinces have looked at how many people are gathering in the home, or they've looked at how do we add the protection of vaccination and require vaccination in more places at events, that kind of thing. So I'm looking for things that would help people decrease the risk of coming into contact with COVID. And I think it's encouraging that they're acting early, because the earlier the better, the less strong measures will be needed. If you shift things early and keep things on track, it takes less effort.
Okay. I hear it all the time from people who call my show who are still not vaccinated, and from the sounds of it have no plans to get vaccinated anytime soon. And they say to me, Rob, if you're vaccinated, you can still get it. And if you're vaccinated, you can still spread it. And I'm out of ideas and really sick and tired of banging my head against the wall trying to even argue with these people anymore. But what do you say to someone who says that to you?
Well, I think often there may be something else underlying the concern about vaccination at this point. It's not usually about access. Usually people can access vaccine, but you want to make sure they have that information. It may be a question of values, of people's sense of liberty and freedom. And so, I do see that people have that choice. It is their choice. We're not taking away the liberty and the freedom to choose. But what we're saying is there's a limit to your choice when it affects others. Just like smoking in a restaurant. We're not allowing that anymore because it affects others' health. And so this, again, is also, I think, useful to actually let people know you're right. Even though you're not 100% protected with vaccination, it's really good protection against ending up in the intensive care unit. Yeah. And it's still 23 times less likely that you'll be in the intensive care unit if you have COVID when you're vaccinated compared to unvaccinated. And nobody wants to be in the intensive care unit. Your family doesn't want you to be in the intensive care unit. So it's worth it because the vaccine is it's safe. It's not leading to challenges for most people. The most severe outcomes we're hearing about are very rare, like myocarditis. It usually doesn't require treatment. People can get through that. And so, I think the balance is clear. It's why I strongly recommend vaccination. It's better protection, and it prevents the things we are just even still learning about with long COVID. When you get COVID infections, naturally, you can have, impacts that may last the rest of your life.
Okay. In closing, I wanted to ask you just about this time of year. It can always be... It can be stressful. It can be even depressing for some people. Long before anyone heard of COVID-19, it's been known that Christmas time can be a sad and lonely time for some people. Maybe they are isolated to begin with, or shut in, or they've lost loved ones, or during their upbringing, they associate Christmas with bad memories. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So here we are. This is like a second COVID Christmas, which can only exacerbate the situation, you would think. What is your advice to people who are feeling stressed out, burned out, down and out, lonely? What would be your advice to them, Doctor?
Well, it's understandable, but it's important to stay connected. When you're feeling down and discouraged and disheartened and even hopeless, these are things it helps to tell somebody, and it helps to talk it through. And I encourage everyone to make sure you're reaching out to people who are isolated, people who are on their own. Individuals won't necessarily reach out themselves, and so a phone call, knock on the door with a mask, these things are really important. I agree with you. This can be a challenge. It can also be a time that could bring people together to help each other through it. And it's actually small things that can help people each day, like a walk outside, like a little bit of physical activity, that connection with friends. I think it is important each day that we think about what's something today that can make me feel better, and that I could maybe share with somebody else, because these are tough times. I'm talking about it myself, with my team, with my family. Small things like a message, sharing a photo, these kinds of things can help people realize that others care. And when you're seeing somebody who's just not able to get out of bed, to do the things they used to do, there are crisis lines and support services available, even online. People have increased the ability to access counseling services through the holidays for free. And so you can find out more about those resources on our website.
Okay. Dr. Etches, once more, thank you for your leadership. And thanks to everyone at Ottawa Public Health for the work that they're doing. It's so greatly appreciated. Thank you again.
Thank you.
news in Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News, now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Friday, December 10th. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now in Ottawa, minus 7 degrees. In Smiths Falls, it's minus 5. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. Province says there are 1,453 new cases of COVID-19 today, along with 11 more deaths. Now in Ottawa, we're over the 100 mark for the day with 109 new cases. 26 in Leeds, Grenville, Lanark, 19 in the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, 3 more in Renfrew. The positive rate is also troubling. From the almost 40,000 tests, the number positive, 4.4%. Now, the province is dropping the phasing out of vaccine certificates. That was planned for next month. Rising COVID case numbers have also delayed that program. Now, QR codes are going to be used exclusively for your proof of vaccine. That's expected to be announced today. Province's top doctor, Kieran Moore, will also be addressing the media at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, as we head into the second pandemic-era winter, Ottawa's top doctor providing some key advice on how to take care of one's mental health, especially during the holidays. Here's City News reporter Alex Gouge.
Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Vera Etches, says it's understandable if people are feeling isolated amid the holidays, but it's important to reach out to someone if feelings of discouragement or hopelessness arise. She tells the Rob Snow Show Ottawans are also encouraged to reach out if they know someone who is isolated and on their own.
Others, individuals won't necessarily reach out themselves, and so a phone call, knock on the door with a mask, these things are really important.
Etches feels small things such as going for a walk or connecting with friends can make a difference. She adds there are several resources available for those struggling with their mental health, and those can be found on Ottawa Public Health's website. Alex Gouge, City News.
Now more on the pandemic from the Valley coming up shortly. City News time at 10:03, and now your forecast with meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Well, heads up if you're in the Renfrew, Pembroke, Barry's Bay area over to Algonquin. Freezing drizzle advisory has been issued for those areas. That'll come to an end later this morning, but just keep in mind some icy sections, sidewalks, parking lots, just extra care needed. Otherwise, cloudy conditions for the most part, the high near +1. We get into some freezing rain again overnight for early Saturday before all that rain and strong wind. For today, the guaranteed high, 1.
And right now in Ottawa, -7. In Smiths Falls, it's -5 degrees. Now, the top doctor for Renfrew County is urging children age 5 to 11 to get vaccinated. Acting Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Robert Cushman, says more than 1,000 kids between age 5 to 11 have their first COVID vaccine. But that's only 11% of that demographic in the region. 1,000 appointments have been booked. But Dr. Cushman says there are families of an estimated 5,000 children they still haven't even heard from. He has a majority of new cases in Renfrew County are in that 5 to 11 age group.
Now, let me tell you, we've seen a dramatic increase in COVID cases in children of this age group, the 5 to 11 age group, since September.
Now, Cushman is reminding if children do require hospitalization because of COVID, they will need to travel from Renfrew County to CHEO in Ottawa. StatsCan says the amount Canadians owe relative to how much they make rose in Q3, pushed higher by growing mortgage debt. The agency says the household credit market debt as a proportion of your disposable income on a seasonably adjusted basis is $1.77 of debt for every dollar of disposable income. I'm Andrew Boyle for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
It's time to talk back
on the Rob Snow Show.
Have your say and call now.
613-750-1310.
And it's the Friday free-for-all. Our favorite hour of the week around here. We don't come up with the topics, okay? You come up with the topics. We've come up with topics all week. Now it's your turn, and we'll do our best to roll with it. We usually end up talking about things that have been in the news because it's a news show for news junkies. But that's not a hard and fast rule. It doesn't have to be about a news story at all. You know, maybe you want to talk about something that you think should be in the news. Whatever it is within reason. We're usually good to go with it, and there's no shortage of material to work with. So let's get right to the phone. Some people have called in already. Tim in Maxville, home of the Highland Games. Tim, good morning, Tim.
It's Dean.
Dean.
Actually.
Sorry, Dean. Sorry. That's my fault, Dean.
That's all right, Rob.
That's my 50-year-old eyesight.
I live in the Maxville area. My bitch is with regard to Canada Post and those ignorant individuals that absolutely refuse to put on a mask, no matter how many people are in there, or put the person in peril. I was in there the other day, and this gentleman came into where you put your boxes and check your mail.
Okay.
With no mask on. There were people in there, and then just walked in. There's signs all over the place. Mask required. Mask required.
Right.
And just walked in while other people were in there and yelled out something to the girl behind the counter, and so I called her up and I said, "How is that allowed?" And she says, "Well, they keep doing that, and there are people who come in and say, well, I have an exemption, and I don't have to tell you what my exemption is." Wow. So what this girl, the only odd thing that this young lady can do, and she's a wonderful person, is give them a piece of paper that tells them the next time they come in, they have to wear a mask. And if they don't, the only thing she can do is shut down the post office and go put on her coat and go deal with them outside.
Wow.
Now that happens she's the only one.
So what do you
there.
think should happen? What do you think should happen, Dean? What should happen?
Well,
in Maxville, it's, you don't really have a bylaw department in Maxville, right? So what do you do?
No.
You're not going to call the OPP or anything like that, or?
No, the only thing she can do is do that, put on her coat, shut down the post office, and go deal with them outside no matter what the weather is.
Yeah.
What I think they should do is, have another... See, this happens in post offices like Maxville that are small. Like Alexandria has a couple of people, St. Isidore has a couple of people. The bigger towns have at least two people working in the post office.
Right.
So either put another person in there, or put a buzzer on the door. If you don't have a mask, you can't come in.
Good. Yeah, good idea. Good idea, Dean. Thank you. Thanks for the call. Yep. There. I bet you he feels so much better now that he has had an opportunity to vent and unload on that one. Tim in Ottawa. There we go. Tim in Ottawa. You're on City News, Tim.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Tim.
About 20 years ago, Maclean's had Maclean's news magazine had a cover saying the most corrupt province in Canada.
Sure. Bonhomme with the suitcases stuffed with cash, right? Sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Complete outrage across the country, and they had to issue an apology.
Oh, yeah.
What if next week, if Maclean had a cover that said the most racist province in Canada?
What if? Mm-hmm. What if? Would it be wrong?
Well, that's a good question. Would it be wrong? Because that's the word. The only way this problem is going to be fixed is when the country calls this what it is. You cannot be a province in this country with all the rights and benefits and financial gains that Quebec has got through equalization and pass racist policies. You can't have it both ways. And what has to happen now, because we have no political leadership in this country, but what we do have is people and companies and CEOs in the province of Quebec that employ thousands and thousands of people. Somebody has to step up from the business community and say, we are considering leaving the province of Quebec with the thousands of jobs because we will not support racist policies, having somebody in government in Quebec saying, well, it's the law. And that's the only thing that will wake up. Absolutely, it's popular in Quebec.
Yes, it is.
It's not so popular when you lose your job, though.
No, it's not.
If you're going to have this policy in Quebec, then be prepared that you may lose employment over it. And then there's no issues. Then there's no problem. If you're prepared to lose your house, your income, your livelihood, to keep your racist policies, then so be it.
Well said, Tim. Well said,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you for your call. Yep. Yeah, Bill 21. inevitable, I guess. Quebec state-sponsored racism bill, secularism law. I guess it's, what do you call it? Welcome to see a few members of Parliament finally speaking out about the ramifications of Bill 21 because of this teacher in Chelsea, reassigned because she was wearing a hijab. But, you honestly can't help but shake your head and wonder, like, where have you been? It comes across, because it's so Johnny-come-lately. I mean, it comes across as phony outrage, crocodile tears. Bill 21 has been in existence for 2 years. And some of us have been speaking out about this outrageous piece of legislation, legalized racism. We've been speaking out and expressing our disgust about Bill 21 for 2 years. I went back into my old show notes, and I have comments on Bill 21 going back to the last election, the fall of 2019 election. This is from my show notes. October 2nd, 2019, the election campaign was underway. Andrew Scheer was the leader of the Conservative Party. The leaders debate, and the leaders are asked, what are you going to do about Bill 21? And they were all as quiet as a chorus of church mice. I wrote at the time, they're all wimps on Bill 21. And they've been nothing but a bunch of wimps during this election campaign, rolling over because it's the popular thing to do in Quebec instead of the right thing to do for the country. If this is what I wrote at the time, if this was a Doug Ford bill in Ontario, you'd never hear the end of it. If it was a Jason Kenney bill in Alberta, everybody in Eastern Canada would be vowing to fight it with every fiber of their being to their last dying breath, a piece of legislation like Bill 21. But because it's a Quebec bill, and because Quebec can do whatever the heck it wants, even when it's so obviously an affront to basic human rights, an affront to charter rights, they say nothing. I would remind you what it says in the charter. Everyone. Our charter says everyone has freedom of conscience and religion. Everyone has freedom of thought and belief and opinion and expression. Everyone. It doesn't say everyone except a Jew, or everyone except a Sikh, or everyone except a Muslim, or a Christian. It says everyone. It's a disgrace. The legislation is a disgrace. It's an affront to a great nation built with the blood, sweat, and tears of so many people from so many backgrounds and so many faiths and so many cultures. And to see these so-called leaders roll over like this, so afraid to stand up and say, gosh darn it, Legault, I'm going to fight you on this. Because it goes against everything this country's supposed to stand for. It's the most shameful part of the election campaign. That's what I wrote 2 years ago. And I feel as passionate about it today as I did 2 years ago. And now you have these so-called leaders in Ottawa. Oh, you're mad now? You're mad now? Why? Because you can put a face to state-sponsored hate now? Well, welcome to the show, you bunch of phonies. Rob Snow Show, City News.
The Rob Snow Show.
It
was devastating, and it's devastating to all small business, but not knowing where it was going to go. But then the renovation market, as people stayed home, took off like wildfire. And for us, yes, we're very lucky, very fortunate that we were able to turn things around. I think a lot of it had to do with our internet presence as well, that I was, kept working on over years, and then it kind of took off. So that was very positive. But now, no, people are staying at home. We're renovating different markets, whether it's a kitchen or a backyard or your fireplace. They want to cozy things up. So yes, things are extremely busy right now. Right now it's fireplaces, and I think with the snowbirds, a lot of those clients have existing wood fireplaces, so they're looking at inserts. So they want to convert the wood to gas. They don't want to deal with the wood part of it, but they want it clean and easy and efficient, and that's been a major, major increase in our business. The cottage and chalet market has really increased, absolutely. We see that people, that's their staycation now, is either the backyard or their cottage with their close bubble of family. So there's no question that we've seen a big, big increase in that area as well. I've seen a change in the backyard because now the staycation, from my past being in the pool business, one of our great clients was in the other day, and he's in the pool business. He's booking for 2022. For in-ground pools, okay? So I think what's happened now is that's brought everybody back home, and I think maybe down the road, maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, we're still gonna see people spending time in their backyards and staying home more. The barbecue area, really, we call it the backyard. So you walk out of your house into a backyard, and it kind of looks like that with the fencing and the sky and things like that. So that is just our fun room. It's just, there's a lot of cool gadgets there that has to do with dealing with charcoal and wood pellet barbecues. To go online, you're going to find, you just Google, romantic fireplaces will come up. The one nice thing about our work is that when the Google reviews and the Google pictures are phenomenal. We're uploading stuff every day. I have at least 1,000 jobs, real jobs that you can take a look at, either on the Google pictures on the drive, or if you go to our website at romanticfireplaces.com and click on Our Work. That's where we used to load lots of them up, but there's lots of pictures there too. But the great thing about that is they're real. There's testimonials there about people talking about our team. And our team here is unique to everybody else. It's two small teams, but these fellas work for me. They're our guys. So when they go into your home, they care as much about your house as you do.
The phone lines are open at 613-750-1310.
Now, the Rob Snow Show continues.
Friday free-for-all. I've had my rant. I feel better. It's like fellowship, group therapy. Mark, Ottawa. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. I'd like to talk about the Supreme Court of Canada and how it's appointed.
Okay.
So what happens is, this is my understanding. I'm not too versed on it.
Okay.
So I guess the Prime Minister makes a recommendation, and it kind of goes through the House, and they look at it, and then he presents it to the Governor General, and she gives it her blessing, or he gives it his blessing. And then it's appointed by basically Trudeau or whoever's the leader in charge. The very first appointment made by Justin Trudeau was for the Supreme Court Justice was the one who overturned Omar Khadr.
Okay, I don't think one justice can overturn anything in and of themselves. So, Mark, but whatever.
No, it was the Supreme Court. Sorry, he elects Supreme Court justices and for provincial.
Okay, yeah. Oh, all right. Okay, I'll have to take your word for it. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, but
right. Okay.
I don't. If with the gas or sorry, let me see. How do I pronounce this or say this right? With the tax on climate, and it went to court.
The price on pollution, the price on pollution.
So there's 9 Supreme Court justices. Trudeau appointed 4 of them, 3 at this point when that vote was held, and it was 6-3. Now, one vote difference would have been 5-4, and another vote would have been 4-3 in favor of who was ever bringing this charge against the government. So you can see how this can be biased in such a fashion that.
Yeah, I suppose.
I thought American politics were corrupt, but man, can they not just elect?
Well,
justices?
corrupt. I mean, is it corrupt? Is it corrupt? Is it politicized? Politicized, maybe. If you're a prime minister, you would want to appoint justices who agree with your
bend,
your worldview, right? Sure.
That's right. Could we not just do it? Maybe they could change it, and we could just get them elected by, let's say, like we vote for the most valuable player in NHL.
Okay. Do you want to start electing justices?
No. Yeah. Not us, but the players, the justices.
Oh, you get judges to elect their fellow judges. You mean?
For the Supreme Court.
For the Supreme Court. Okay.
Blah blah blah.
Right. Okay. All right, Mark. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, he thinks the court is too politicized. Hey, he's not the first to say that. Fair comment there. Bruno, Lowertown on snow clearing. Bruno.
Hey, good morning, Rob.
Hey, bro.
How's it going?
It goes, sir, with or without me. It always goes, yep.
I'm furious with the city of Ottawa.
Okay.
That big snowstorm beginning of the week.
Yeah.
There was a ban from 10 a.m. to 1900 or 7 p.m., you could say.
Yeah.
And Bylaw was out there ticking everybody, and the city never came.
And what?
To clean out the streets.
Oh, really? Okay.
Everybody had a hard time getting.
Get off the streets. We need to clear the streets. But they never came and cleared the street, is what you're saying?
Never came, but they're ready to give a ticket of $70.
Sure. I bet they are. Yeah.
But everybody had a hard time walking their dogs and everything and slipping. And it's like, okay, well, how come you're not coming by? How come we didn't receive an email or whatsoever,
Yeah. So you're not happy with the snow clearing job in Lowertown?
Well, no, not in Lowertown.
No?
I don't know the rest part of the city, but in Lowertown they were ticking everybody. But
well, I don't know, Bruno, like social media is not real life, but I mean, it's all over social media. People are really upset about the job they've done with the sidewalks. I don't think the sidewalks have been done very well.
Okay.
Seemed to be a lot of snow and ice dumped from the roads onto the sidewalks. Some intersections, you're basically climbing over the Khyber Pass to try and get to the crosswalk to cross the street, for crying out loud. So.
Yeah, I agree with that, but not even the sidewalks were cleared.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. They need some work.
Of course. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, thank you, Bruno.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yep. Some lines available, folks, at 750-1310. It's the Friday free-for-all Rob Snow Show here on City News, 750-1310. To Gatineau, Pierre. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Rob.
Morning, Pierre.
We'd like to talk about that poor woman that basically got booted out of the school there. She was reassigned.
Yeah.
But to lose her job because she's wearing hijab or scarf there, because in French we don't say hijab, they just say a scarf there.
Okay.
And no, that Bill 21 there is it's racist there, definitively. But you know what, Rob?
Yeah.
Quebec wants to be so much like France that they adopt laws from France.
Okay.
And that's that Bill 21, that one comes directly from France there, where they separate church and state,
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, if you see a cop on the Quebec side, they adopted the French system for the ranks. And no. You want to be like the French? Move out. Go to France.
Go to France. Okay.
Yeah.
You think it's becoming more French like France and less Quebecois? Is that what you're saying, Pierre? Or
no, but
Okay.
major laws there seems to be a tint from France.
Why is it so popular? That law is popular.
You know what?
The Quebecers love that law.
I'll tell you something there. Yeah. Quebec is father knows best state. We're a bunch of morons, the little people there, that all those nationalists, all those separatists there, they think they have the truth. you know. And us, no. You do what we tell you to do there, and the Quebec, you know, they just like sheep. Yes, sir. You know.
Okay.
So
right.
I believe I was in the army.
Yes.
I learned my English in the army. In 1980, on the first referendum, you know, I was so cranked up because the English are going to invade us there and we're going to lose the language.
Yes.
But then I learned English. That's not true, you know? So they play on those keys.
They are still playing on the fears. They are still playing on the fears. So, you know, some of the fears, they're not, I wouldn't say they're totally irrational fears. I mean, Quebec, you're surrounded by English on all sides, and North America is becoming increasingly diverse. I can see how that would, some people would view that as a threat to the Francophone culture. I do. I really do. But the Quebecois culture is thriving. It's thriving right now.
Yes.
This belief that somehow the Quebecois culture is in decline, it's a lie.
Oh, yes.
It's a myth. It's a lie.
I was going to say something, but I'll keep it for myself.
Well, thank you, Pierre. But look, I appreciate your call. I'm glad you're listening, sir. It's greatly appreciated. You call anytime. Okay, bye-bye. Halftime. It'll be quick. We'll be back on it. Marie Hugo. Hugo wants to talk about Jussie Smollett. Okay, guilty of committing a hate crime hoax. He made it all up. We'll talk about that. And snow removal. Melanie in Ottawa wants to comment on the snow removal job by City Crews this week here in the city of Ottawa. This is the Rob Snow Show, City News.
City News, now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Friday, December 10th. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now, -7 degrees in Ottawa, -4 in Smiths Falls. And here's what's making news this hour. The province says there are 1,453 new cases of COVID-19 today, along with 11 more deaths. Now, 109 of these cases are in Ottawa, 26 in Leeds, Grenville, Lanark. There are 19 new cases in Eastern Ontario and 3 in Renfrew. The positive rate from the almost 40,000 tests that were done for these numbers is 4.4%. The provincial government expected to announce today it will extend the vaccine certificate rules and make changes to the program. Senior government source says the rules requiring vaccine certificate will not be lifted in January. That was initially scheduled. Instead, the measures will stay in place until further notice. Now, the source says proof of vaccination system will also be updated, so the certificate equipped with a QR code will be the only version that is going to be accepted. StatsCan says the amount Canadians owe relative to how much they make pushed higher by growing mortgage debt. The agency says household credit market debt as a proportion of household disposable income equals $1.77 in debt for every dollar of disposable income. City News Time at 10:32. I'm Andrew Boyle for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
It's time to
on the Rob Snow Show.
Have your say and call now.
613-750-1310.
Friday free-for-all part 2. You come up with the topics. We don't come up with the topics. Lots of material to work with. Big week, City Hall, city budget. You may want to talk about that. City budget passed. No shocker there. No major changes, really, when you look at the final budget and the original draft budget that was proposed so many, many weeks ago. Not much really changed. This has always been a bugaboo of mine. The whole budget consultation process, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say it again, and I've been saying this for 20 years. It's a charade. The budget consultation process in this city is a charade. When it comes right down to it, residents don't have sway over the budget. The attempt is made to make it appear as though you do. But in the end, you don't. You don't. And look, as much as I disagree with almost everything that's in the so-called people's budget, from all the left-wing organizations, Horizons Ottawa, etc., that is the perfect example of how little influence residents have over the budgeting process. I mean, you can assemble a group of like-minded people by the hundreds, brainstorm, rally, organize, come up with a whole other budget document. You can go to this committee, have your say, go to that committee, have your say, you can fire people up on Twitter, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's all baked in. It's a done deal. Once the draft budget is presented, that's it. And if the mayor says it's going to be 3%, it's going to be 3%. And the biggest charade of all was and is the transit budget. As Walter Robinson told us yesterday on our program, garbage in, garbage out. Guibo. It's not an honest budget. It's built on quicksand. The whole thing is based on ridership climbing back up to 80% of pre-pandemic levels, and there's not anybody in the city believes that that's going to happen, except, I guess, the people you elected to your city council, who are living in la-la land, where the streets are paved with gold and lined with money trees. I heard a news report. I was listening to Bloomberg News on the satellite radio in the truck, and they said on the New York City public transit system, ridership is still only 40% of what it was prior to COVID, 40%. And if you've been to New York, you know taking public transit is ingrained in the city's culture. It's part of the culture. Everybody takes transit, way more than in our city. And if it hasn't recovered there, what do you think is really happening here? And then throw onto that pile all the uncertainty about public servants ever going back to work in the office towers of the Capitol. That transit budget is a joke. It's not even worth the paper it's written on. 750-1310. Marie is in the West End. Marie.
Good morning, Rob.
Morning, Marie.
You have so many great topics today. It's hard to choose one, but I'm going to go with this. What happened with this
the teacher
in
Chelsea.
Yes, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
You're right.
I remember in 1980, I was at that referendum, and because I was younger back then, we all fought for Quebec to stay with us. If I had known back then what we all know, that I know now and many others, let them go. They would have been gone with, but we didn't know what this was going to happen. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that, well, O'Toole and the Prime Minister, I don't know what they can do, but I know they can speak or they can say something. But Quebec, no matter what happens, Quebec is right. And no matter what they do, they're right. The rest of us can just do whatever. What bothers me, and maybe you can comment on this, Rob, is our Prime Minister is not sending diplomats to China because they don't like the way the human rights in China, what's happening in China, what's happening in our own beautiful
Well, he also
country.
said something curious just on that front. He said, well, if we're not invited, we're not going. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Are you saying if they invite you, you're going to go?
Yeah, exactly.
And then Steve Chase from the Globe and Mail, who shares a lot of bylines, of course, with Bob Fife from the Globe and Mail, had a tweet. He had asked the Department of Heritage, how many diplomats do we usually send to the Olympics? We usually send like maybe 1 or 2 people to any Olympic Games. This is not like we're leaving hundreds of people home in Canada. Talking about like one person. One person's not going. It's not much of a stance.
Yeah. But what's the difference with what how China treats their people? We're treating our people. That's the Muslims and even the natives, but the Muslims and the East Indians and so on and so forth. We're not treating.
Let's think about what they're saying to this woman is we don't care how good of a teacher you are or how popular you are with your students, whether your students are learning anything. All we care about is that you're wearing a hijab.
Exactly.
And for that reason, we're going to take you out of the...
They're always right.
And for that reason, we're going to take you...
Yeah. I watched a fellow, and I apologize, I don't know who it was. It was an older fellow. He was a minister, I guess. And when he was interviewed, I only saw a bit of it yesterday, and he said she knew she wasn't allowed to do that, so she got what she came for type thing. And I thought, my Lord, I can't believe this is our country that's going through and saying all these things. I think it's horrible.
And
I really do.
Where are the leaders in Ottawa? Where are the leaders in Ottawa?
I don't think we have any. Honest to goodness. I read this cabinet
Do you think Pierre Trudeau would put up with this? You don't think Pierre Trudeau would push back against this? Pierre Trudeau called in the army to fight terrorists in Quebec. Okay.
Right.
Right. Where are the leaders? Where are the leaders in Ottawa? What is his son doing? Why is Mr. O'Toole so spineless on this? He's totally passed the buck on this with the conservative stance. Well, it's a provincial rights issue. It's a Quebec issue. Well, no, it's not. It's a human rights issue.
Exactly. You're right.
And Mr. Singh, of all people, Mr. Singh is a Sikh. He wouldn't be allowed to teach a classroom in Chelsea either.
No, he wouldn't be. At least he's saying something about it. The sad part of it, Rob, and when I worked on Parliament Hill many years ago, there was a few problems here and there, naturally, but nothing to this degree. Nothing to this degree.
It's very ugly.
But, the people, the leaders today, O'Toole included, getting votes oh gosh, we can't do that to Quebec. We don't want to lose votes in Quebec. Even with the
I'm going to interrupt you, Marie. I have to interrupt you. We have breaking news. Marie.
Okay, dear.
Okay, Jim Watson has just announced he will not seek re-election. Jim Watson has just announced he will not seek re-election. And he has posted a letter on his website. Okay. Thank you. What was it? An hour ago, I predicted he was going to run again and win in a landslide. And I also offered the caveat, I'm terrible with predictions. Jim Watson will not seek re-election.
We will have more details soon. The hubbub has apparently crashed the mayor's personal blog website. I can't access the letter right now. It is not loading.
Right.
I did look at it briefly before the website crashed. It did say he will not be running, but I don't have the full copy of the letter in front of me right now because too many people are trying to read it online at the moment.
All right. Is Marie still there, or is Marie?
I'm still here, Rob, but
Yeah.
that's the best news I've heard in a long time.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, Marie. Okay.
You made my day. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but you just made my day.
Okay. All right. Jim Watson will not seek re-election. Wow. That's a huge story. Okay. I'm open to taking any reaction to that. We have 20 minutes left to take phone calls here. Jim Watson not seeking re-election. What's your reaction to that, anybody? Let's go to Hugo. It is the Friday free-for-all, whatever you want to talk about. Hugo.
Yes, I would like to talk about Jussie Smollett and the guilty of 5 to 6 counts.
Yes. What about it?
Well, this is just my moment where I just want to laugh and gloat about that. I think it's encouraging to see that a jury of 12 reasonable people can make a distinction between discrimination and an attitude of racism, right? One is somewhat fictional in people's minds, whereas the other is an act.
Okay.
And I believe that fueling the fans of division the way he did is something that should be punished. And I think it's a warning out there for all those professional race baiters that these are just bad ideas that are going to continue to get worse.
Yeah. The scuttlebutt is he won't even go to jail. He'll probably get maybe a year's probation. That's what I heard on the radio this morning. Maybe a year's probation.
I don't know if the American justice system has victim impact statements, but I would be curious who the victim of his hoax was. I mean, would it be society at large? How would society express the damage that was done? How can you quantify that?
Yeah, good question, Hugo. Thank you. So again, we have some breaking news here at City News. In a letter posted to his website, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson has just announced he will not seek re-election. Jim Watson will not seek re-election. That's breaking now. Our next newscast comes up at 11 o'clock. We're welcoming your reaction to that or any other story this morning. Melanie in Ottawa. Melanie.
Hey, how's it going?
It goes. Melanie. Yes.
I am a delivery agent, and I'm not complaining about the city workers with the snow. I'm complaining about people shoveling their driveways. Because since everyone works from home now, no one leaves their house.
Yes.
And we still have to go on your driveway. And it's very dangerous, potentially. So I just wanted to send a friendly reminder to please shovel and ice your walkways. That is
shovel and salt.
Shovel and salt, yes.
Yep. Okay, Melanie.
That's it.
Thank you. Yep, okay. Yep, for the delivery people. Richard in Orleans. Richard, you're on City News. Good morning.
Good morning, Rob.
Morning, Richard.
I just wanted a story that seemed to slip by the news rather quickly this week was a rear admiral has been charged with improprieties and sexual improprieties, and they were charged by the military. I'm sure that approximately 4 to 5 weeks ago, the government said these cases will be handed over to the civilian court. Now, it seems to me the military is thumbing their nose at the government, and the great defender of women's rights like Mr. Trudeau has not said a word, and neither has the Minister of National Defense that I know of. I spent time in the military, and this goes on and on and on. They cannot police their own. They can't.
Okay. All right, Richard. Thank you. Again, breaking news, Jim Watson, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson will not seek re-election. Jim Watson will not seek re-election. He has posted a letter to his personal website, his personal blog, causing that website to crash. But we'll have more information coming up for you during our 11 o'clock newscast. That is breaking news. Jim Watson will not seek re-election. 1045, Rob Snow Show, City News.
The Rob Snow Show, brought to you.
The food cupboard started about 25 years ago. Again, it was a very small operation in the basement of a church. And we have been expanding to the point where we needed to have a new facility. So in discussion with the city of Ottawa and Jan Harder, the local representative here, we came to this location, which is about 2,000 square feet, located in the Walter Baker Center. We've been here for about 2 years, and it is much better. It gives us a much broader opportunity to serve our clients better. It's a fairly affluent community in Barrhaven, So you wouldn't think that people would really need to have a food bank or a food cupboard. But people sometimes have a temporary loss of their job, maybe new immigrants or refugees to the community. Maybe there's been an injury in the family or something like a pandemic that causes people to run short of food during their monthly requirements. So we offer any clients who come and live in our catchment area the opportunity to pick up an order of food every 3 or 4 weeks. The need varies from time to time. We have expanded our offering to include quite a few perishables, eggs, milk, cheese, yogurt, vegetables, fruit. But people, I think, know that we need cans of beans and stuff as well, too. One thing that we're consistently short of sometimes is personal hygiene products. You go to the grocery store, you buy your toothpaste and you buy your deodorant and shampoo there. People don't automatically think that to donate those kinds of things to a food cupboard. So we end up buying quite a few of those things from time to time. The pandemic has affected us like it has everybody. Initially, we had to stop the grocery store food donations so that we didn't have any risk of contamination and to have a significant number of volunteer work to be done in our facility. We have a storefront, so it's like a mini grocery store where you take a cart and you go around and pick out the things that you want. That doesn't work during the pandemic to maintain social distancing and so on. So what we have now is our clients can come in one at a time, they make an appointment, they stand behind a line, and they direct our volunteer to, I'd like Kellogg's Corn Flakes rather than Harvest Crunch, to pick the food that they would like off the shelves according to the allocation, depending on the size of their family. And then they take it out, load it into their vehicle or whatever, bring back the cart, we disinfect everything, and prepare for the next client. We are very blessed here in Barrhaven. We're a totally volunteer organization. So if you give a dollar to us, it goes to purchasing food or to provide some service to our clients.
613-750-1310.
Now, the Rob Snow Show continues.
So that Jim Watson news, he's not going to run again for re-election. I'm quite shocked by that, but understandable as well. Can understand that. 3 terms as mayor of Ottawa post-amalgamation. 2, I believe, before that. Longest-serving mayor in Ottawa's history. Turned 60 this year. That's a contemplative time for a lot of people. He's not going to seek re-election. Won't be on the ballot in next year's municipal election. That means it's wide open now. Now that Jim is not running, that means a lot of people are going to be in the running. So who do we think is going to run, David? Let's put our heads together here. Who do we think is in, okay? Diane Deans was with Sam LaPrade yesterday and said she thinks the city needs new leadership. And that she's seriously thinking about it. Longtime city councillor from the South End. Okay, so there's one. Rumors Catherine McKenney might run. Not sure. I think Matthew Fleury is going to run.
I think so.
I've heard that he's been out there already trying to drum up support. Bob Chiarelli has told me here he's going to run with or without Jim Watson in the race. He's going to run. So it's already shaping up to be an interesting race for 2022 in the municipal election. With Jim Watson not on the ballot. And the mayor's with Sam this afternoon, right?
1:30, after the 1:30 news.
Right after the 1:30 news.
Jim Watson
so
will
don't miss that. Yeah, don't miss that. That's our big breaking news story right now. Did you have any luck getting onto his website?
No, but
I still haven't had any luck.
He's posted it to his Facebook. Here, I'll send you the full text of the letter in an email.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay. All right, let's take some calls. Paul in Ottawa. Paul, good morning.
I just can't tell you how happy I am to hear
You're
that
happy.
Watson is not running.
All right.
I really am.
Yeah.
The Watson circle that existed, I think that's a big reason why the council is, somewhat dysfunctional right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've had email exchanges with the mayor. He doesn't seem to understand the concept of debt. I'm sure he does, but he just, argues away, and how much debt the city has taken on under his leadership. The LRT, forcing and rushing the councillors to vote on the second stage without letting them see the contract.
Yeah.
His time with the province, it just stinks. And
his time with the province. Happy. Okay. All right. I guess, Paul, I would just say at this point, and I understand where you're coming from, be careful what you wish for. Do you think we wouldn't have light rail? If Jim Watson wasn't the mayor, it was a Larry O'Brien project to begin with. Do you think the debt would be any? Hold on, let me finish. Yeah. Do you think the debt would be any lower if, say, it was Mayor Catherine McKinney, Mayor Matthew Fleury, Mayor Diane Deans?
It might be higher, it might be lower,
right?
But
do you think Do you think tax increases would be capped at 2.5-3% with one of the downtown left-wing city councillors as mayor? Paul, really?
Well, everything you said, those are possibilities, right?
Possibilities, yeah.
And I don't know, we don't know, how things would have played out. But like I said, I seriously, wonder about Mr. Watson and how legit he really was. The way he acted, the stuff I listed, especially the LRT, the second stage LRT vote. That, I think, really pointed to the fact that, something strange is going on there. He's rushing the councillors to make a vote on the second stage of LRT.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, 10 days. 10 days.
Yeah,
they had 10 days. Yeah.
You can say, we might get something worse, but we might get something better. And I'm obviously hoping that we get something better.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Robert in Ottawa. Robert White.
I'm saddened by Mayor Watson's
okay.
Departure. He's the most experienced politician that we have in Canada, bar none. Okay, this guy is like the ultimate political manager. Nobody can touch Watson, okay? And we have a huge loss here, management-wise, for the city of Ottawa. We're $4.1 billion for our budget for the upcoming year, okay?
Yeah.
And we're not going to find management like Watson ever again, okay? And Chiarelli, it was obvious that the war room, the Liberal war room, was putting Chiarelli in because Watson was going to leave. So this decision really was made months ago, and he's just announcing it now, okay? And could I say one more thing for Dr. Etches?
Dr. Etches, yes.
Okay. I'm an anti-vax. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not vaccinated, okay? And I'm a charter member and signatory to the 2014 Cambridge Working Group Call to Action on Deadly American-Manufactured Pandemic Pathogens, gain-of-function pandemic pathogens.
Okay,
so look that one up, folks.
Look it up. Come on. All right. That's enough, Robert. You were doing so well there. Theodore in Ottawa. Theodore.
Hi.
Hi, Theodore.
Yeah. This kind of weather we've been going through recently.
Yes.
I basically kind of grew up with it. Back in the late 70s, early 80s. And from what I remember at the time, they were calling it Arctic air because it was coming down from the Arctic.
Yeah.
Massive air pressure difference. So this is nothing new to me.
Okay, nothing new. Nothing new. No, cold, snowy in Ottawa. No, nothing new there. Nothing new.
No.
Okay, Theodore. Thank you. Thank you for the thank you for the weather update. I love talking about the weather as much as the next guy. Tom in Canada, you're on City News. Tom.
Morning, Rob.
Yes.
I might have a trivial topic compared to some of the other heavy ones you guys are talking about.
All right, okay.
But this is about the corner cams in NHL hockey rinks.
The corner cams in NHL hockey rinks, okay.
50 times a game, they zoom down to the corner to check out the refs behind. And I wonder how many other people are concerned about this. I've missed so many plays, and my team comes over the blue line, goes into the corner, and they dig a little bit, and then the puck is in front of the net, and you don't even know who's out there. Is it going to be a shot? It's just, is it the switcher that calls these shots at the
It would be a director. It would be a director.
A director, yeah.
Yep. A TV director. They would say, take camera 2, take camera 5, like that.
I have to refocus my eyes 50 times a game because the director wants to show somebody skates in one stick down in the corner that you don't know who it belongs to. And these shots are disorienting.
All right. Okay. Stop showing the corner shots. Stop showing. Why can't they just keep it on the centerized camera? What's wrong with that? It's served us pretty well over time, I think.
Yeah, the only person interested in those shots are the referee's proctologist.
All right. All right, Tom. Okay. Kaz, Ottawa. Kaz.
Yes, I think maybe Jim Watson saw the writing on the wall. He stuck his finger in his mouth and then put it up in the air and said, it doesn't look good. And I think we should be happy. I think we should be celebrating. And the thing with the Quebec thing is look at France. They thumbed the nose at the European Union. This is a French thing as well. And it's not racism, more like xenophobia. Would you agree with that?
Racism, xenophobia. What's the difference between racism and xenophobia?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. I think that when you look at France, it's very secular.
I think they're kicking her out because she's a Muslim. That's why they're kicking her out. Plain and simple. Because the Pure Land of Quebec don't like Muslims. Plain and simple. Ches in Canada. Ches, last call.
Hey, hi, Rob. Yeah,
Hi.
I'm calling you in for the infamous Bill 21.
Bill 21, yeah.
Yeah, well, my opinion, maybe you might agree with me. I've said it even on Facebook. It's a vile piece of racist legislation.
God bless you, Ches. God bless you. We're right at a time. You're bang on. You're bang on. You're bang on. And it's too bad you weren't the leader of one of these federal parties because you have more guts than the rest of them up there on the Hill. We'll be back right after the 11 o'clock news. Rob Snow Show, City News.
The Rob Snow Show, brought to you.
One for local news in Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News, now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Friday, December 10th. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now in Ottawa, -7. It's -4 in Smiths Falls. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. Well, breaking news this morning from Ottawa City Hall. Mayor Jim Watson is not going to reoffer in the 2022 municipal election. The mayor since 2010 in Ottawa tweeting a statement saying he made this decision on election night back in 2018. Watson says while waiting for those election results, he decided if he won then, he would not reoffer. While Watson says he loved almost every hour of every day as mayor, he considers it an honor and a privilege. But Watson says he needs time for his next career. Watson will have served almost 15 years as Ottawa mayor when the current term ends following the October election next year. More from Mayor Jim Watson and his decision not to run again next fall, coming up this afternoon on the Sam LaPrade Show. That airs between noon and 2. City News Time, 11:01. Now the forecast with meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Well, heads up if you're in the Renfrew, Pembroke, Barry's Bay area over to Algonquin. Freezing drizzle advisory has been issued for those areas. That'll come to an end later this morning, but just keep in mind some icy sections, sidewalks, parking lots, just extra care needed. Otherwise, cloudy conditions for the most part, the high near +1. We get into some freezing rain again overnight for early Saturday before all that rain and strong wind. For today, the guaranteed high, 1.
And right now it's -7 in Ottawa, -4 in Smiths Falls. The province says there are 1,453 new cases of COVID-19 province-wide today, along with 11 more deaths. Now, 109 of these cases are in Ottawa, 26 in Leeds, 19 in Eastern Ontario, 3 in Renfrew. Positive rate from almost 40,000 tests, though, has jumped to 4.4% today. With the second pandemic era winter nearly here, Ottawa's top doctor providing some tips on how to address mental health concerns, especially through the holidays. Here's City News reporter Alex Gouge.
Medical Officer of Health Dr. Vera Etches says it's important to reach out to someone who is isolated and on their own since they might not reach out themselves. But she is encouraging those feeling hopeless or discouraged to talk to someone. Dr. Etches tells the Rob Snow Show small things can make a difference.
Like a walk outside, like a little bit of physical activity, that connection with friends. I think it is important each day that we think about what's something today that can make me feel better.
She adds several resources are available to support those struggling with their mental health and can be found on Ottawa Public Health's website. Alex Gouge, City News.
City News Time, 11:03. Renfrew County's top doctor pleading for more children between the ages of 5 and 11 to get vaccinated against COVID-19. The acting medical officer of health, Dr. Robert Cushman, says over 1,000 kids in that age group have received their shot, but that's only 11% of the population in the county. He explains there also isn't a significant amount of appointments for vaccines that are booked over the next month in that age group.
Only 1,000 additional children have registered for vaccines in the month of December. And we think there's 7,000 kids out there who could be vaccinated. So that means that we haven't heard from 5,000 children from their families yet.
Now, Cushman adds there has been a dramatic increase in cases among children between the ages of 5 and 11 since September, that group making up the majority of the region's new infections. I'm Andrew Boyle for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The world is changing.
So keep up with Rob.
The Rob Snow Show returns on Rogers TV and City News, 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
So all this week we've been speaking with local authors who will be signing their wares at the Signatures Christmas Show at the EY Center. And one of them is Laura Byrne-Paquette, whose book is called Ottawa Road Trips, Your 100-Kilometer Getaway Guide. Good morning, Laura.
Hello.
It's great to hear from you. Now, my producer says Laura's game to talk about Mayor Watson a bit if you want. You're a longtime journalist in Ottawa, Laura, as well. I was kind of surprised by that news. Did that catch you by surprise that he would?
I caught me totally by surprise. I thought Jim Watson would be in politics, in city politics forever. So, that's a big change for the city.
It
for
sure
sure
is. Yeah, I honestly thought, and I'll probably be interviewing sometime in the next couple of weeks. He's going to be on City News this afternoon at 1:30, but he'll do a series of year-end interviews with the news media, and I'll ask him about it. But I honestly thought at one point Jim Watson could be Ottawa's Hazel McCallion.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
That the job will be his as long as he wants it, but I guess he doesn't want it anymore. So that's a big surprise. It's a big surprise, and it'll make the municipal election all the more interesting next year. So.
Definitely.
Yeah, excellent. So look, I understand. I was speaking with Ron Corbett of Ottawa Press and Publishing earlier in the week, and he told me that your book, Ottawa Road Trips, your 100-kilometer getaway guide, is probably the best-selling book in the city by a local author. So congratulations on that, Laura. It's doing very well, I understand.
Thank you. Yes, we've been really happy with the sales. People have really taken to it, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. So tell me about it. How do you set up a book like that?
Well, a lot of it I drew on research that I already had because I've been running a website also called Ottawa Road Trips since 2014. And I've been writing about travel in Eastern Ontario, the Outaouais, and related regions, for at least 20 years. So I had a lot of information to draw on. And so Ron and I together came up with the idea of breaking the book down by distance. So there's a section of trips that are within 10 kilometers of Parliament Hill, then within 20 kilometers, and so on. Yeah.
Right. And everything you can do within a day, right?
Yes. Yeah. 100 kilometers out, 100 kilometers back. That's feasible in a day for sure.
Sure. So what are some of your favorite getaways?
Some of them are really quite close to Ottawa. I mean, practically, some of them are in the city, but outside of the city, one of my favorites is Almonte, especially this time of year. It's the star of all those Hallmark Christmas movies for a very good reason. It's very beautiful. It's full of great little shops, great restaurants. There's when it's open, there's a wonderful textile museum. So it's very close. Like from Canada, it's less than half an hour drive to Almonte. You feel like you're hundreds of miles away from the city.
Yeah. What else?
Other places, I really like Merrickville for a lot of similar reasons.
Well, see, Merrickville, I like Merrickville too. I actually think this time of year. Mm-hmm. It's Christmas Town, right? It's kind of Christmas Town. It's got
all those beautiful old stone buildings. It's got the Rideau Canal, again, lovely shops. Merrickville is great. But I mean, there's so many great destinations within 100 kilometers. There's Perth, there's Van Cleek Hill, there's Kemptville, there's great sort of natural areas where you can go hiking or kayaking and canoeing in season.
Now, Van Cleek Hill, I've been to Van Cleek Hill a few times because I've been there for their fall fair, the farmers market fall fair.
Right.
I'm thinking, is it Van Cleek? I may be getting Van Cleek Hill confused with Hawkesbury. I hope not. But is Van Cleek Hill not the gingerbread capital?
It is indeed.
And gingerbread meaning it's a style of home, gingerbread homes.
Yes, a gingerbread trim on.
Yeah, gingerbread trim on the homes. Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I know Van Cleek Hill about. It's amazing what comes to mind. So, what's the best way to get the book?
You can come and get it signed by me at the Signature Show for sure. You can order it from the Ottawa Press and Publishing website.
Okay.
You can get it at most of the independent bookstores around town, and you can also get it at Chapters.
Excellent. So you'll be at the EY Center tomorrow, is that right? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be at the Ottawa Press and Publishing booth signing books from 10 until noon and again from 2 until 4.
All right. Look, congratulations once again on the success of the book, Laura. And we look forward to having you back on the program sometime.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again. The book, again, is called Ottawa Road Trips, Your 100-Kilometer Getaway Guide by Laura Byrne-Paquette. And she talks about going, you start out from the Peace Tower and you kind of work your way out. She mentioned Almonte, Chateau Montebello, Merrickville, Rideau Trail, all kinds of neat stuff. And it's not just about, day trips in cars. She has lots of stuff in there about, going on bicycle trips and that kind of stuff too. So very cool. Very cool. All right. David has sent me this. It's a very long statement from Mayor Watson. He's obviously given it a lot of thought. Mayor Watson's not running again. And this is what he says. As I was awaiting the results of the 2018 election about 3 years ago, I made my decision even before I knew the results that if I was successful that night, it would be my last election as mayor of Ottawa. The decision was both easy and tough. On the one hand, I loved almost every hour of every day, and it was a true privilege and honor to serve as our city's mayor. However, I knew that I would be turning 60 during this term of council, and if I was going to have one more career, then I needed to move on from elected office. So for the first time in many years, my name won't be on a ballot as I turn my attention to finishing some important city building projects and bid adieu to the mayor's office in September 2022 after nearly 15 years representing the residents of Ottawa. I'm often asked, he continues, I'm often asked what I'm most proud of during my elected time in office. It's a hard question because it doesn't boil down to just one issue or project. Many of the initiatives I'm most proud of had been on the city's books for years and some for decades. For a variety of reasons, they were stuck in neutral, and I was fortunate to be able to work with many partners to move these ideas from the drawing board to completion. In other words, my philosophy was a bit like Nike's tagline, just do it. I've found the public were frustrated with years of debate, inaction on important projects. If I could be so bold, allow me to focus briefly on a handful of initiatives I'm proud to be part of. These were accomplished by a team, citizens, labor, public servants, elected officials, business leaders. In other words, not by just me, but many engaged and dedicated residents and activists. In no particular order, a few projects. Syrian refugees. We opened up our city to 4,000 Syrian refugees escaping war in their homeland. Bridge building. Our councils have helped build many bridges connecting our communities, most dedicated to cyclists and pedestrians. Max Keeping Bridge by the baseball stadium. Ottawa Crossing connecting Overbrook and Sandy Hill, Jackie Holtzman Bridge, Kitchissippi, Flora Foot Bridge connecting Glebe, Old Ottawa East, Chief William Commander Bridge connecting Gatineau and Ottawa, Vimy Memorial Bridge, Riverside South, Juno Beach Bridge over the Airport Parkway, Rideau River Bridge, Carleton University. What else here? We invested record amounts to repair, rehabilitate hundreds of kilometers of sidewalks, cycling infrastructure, Helus Invest Ottawa, and on LRT, which, while he says he made the decision in 2018, LRT was going to be one of the issues that was going to make re-election, if it was going to be difficult for him. This is what he says about LRT in Ottawa. Jim Watson, who's not running again. We opened our LRT system and negotiated funding for Stage 2. We are now working on Stage 3. The start of this new transportation system was frustrating beyond belief and a massive letdown to its users. While we are now seeing an improvement in the reliability of the service, we must continue to hold our partners to account. I truly believe we have turned the corner with much better, reliable, and consistent service for the people of Ottawa. And that's it. That's all he has to say about LRT. What else? Arts and libraries opened up a new and impressive Ottawa Art Gallery, renovated arts courts. OA was a dream for decades, finally became reality. That's Ottawa Art Gallery. Reality 2018, approved new Central Library, partnership with Library and Archives Canada. Tourism and Ottawa 2017. Massive celebration under the auspices of Ottawa 2017. That was a highlight. Like the Canada 150 stuff that Ottawa did, not that the federal government did, but what Ottawa did with Guy Laflamme in that role and La Machine. You remember that? Like amazing stuff. Yeah, La Machine, the Grey Cup, NHL 100 Classic, Juno Awards, hundreds of other special events set records for visitors, hotel occupancy, and airport traffic. I would say that would be one of the highlights of the mayor's time in office. I really do. Open the new Shaw Center. What else? EY Center. which will be served by Stage 2 LRT. Oh, yeah, electric buses. He's touting electric buses. He goes on to talk about the natural disasters that they had to work through. More than our fair share of those. It's quite lengthy, and I'll stop here. But when we come back, Pat Aguccione is going to join us, our City Hall insider with Ottawa Community Voice. And this news, quite unexpected that it would be announced today, and that this is the announcement. Jim Watson, not seeking re-election. This is City News.
Weekends on City News.
So Rideau Rockcliffe Community Resource Centre has been around since 1982, and it's here to serve residents of Ward 13. So our focus is on helping to reduce poverty in this community, as well as empowering residents to find resilience within themselves. So one of the new focuses of our centre is around food programming. So you'll notice today when we go around on a little tour that we have a number of food programs here at the centre. So one being obviously our emergency food program, which is really great. So residents can come and access food when they are in need. We also have a number of food-based social enterprises here at Rideau Rockcliffe as well. So one being the Ottawa Good Food Box, another being Market Mobile. One of our new initiatives that started this year as response to COVID is called Good Food on the Move, and it's a click and collect online store, and we have 7 pickup locations throughout the city. More sort of local here for Ward 13 residents, we've also started a free produce market as well. So community members can come on Wednesdays and Fridays and be able to access additional free fruits and vegetables.
Social Harvest Ottawa is one of the social enterprises here at the Rideau Rockcliffe Community Resource Centre. We operate this great urban greenhouse, and our work is not only to grow nutritious and delicious food, but also to nourish communities with community members here in Ward 13 and beyond. The greenhouse is a year-round project. We're a team of 4 employees working here. We have 2 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. We focus on growing microgreens from late fall to early spring, and hothouse crops in the summertime, such as tomatoes and cucumbers.
The Mission Food Truck we're in our 5th week of collaborating with them to come visit our center, and we just got in on it at the right time. They were looking for new communities to branch out to. They said absolutely. Right now they're funded through donations. They travel around Ottawa and just give out delicious, fresh, hot food to people as well. We have at our center the Ottawa Good Food Box, as well as the Market Mobile. So Ottawa Good Food Box has been around for 25 years, and Market Mobile is a little younger, started in 2014. So they both have the mission and the mandate of making fresh food more accessible and affordable in neighborhoods that lack access to a grocery store. So I think the greatest need that we've seen as a result of the pandemic in our community is people that we maybe have never needed to access our services before, right? So a lot of people have had, layoffs. Maybe they're just not able to work because they have to stay home with their children, over the summer, that sort of thing. So we've definitely seen the need go out, particularly for our food programming, as well as some of our counseling services as well. So it's a heavy time for people emotionally.
1310 AM.
Okay, so let's start gathering reaction to the news that Jim Watson will not seek re-election. With Pat Aguccione, Ottawa Community Voice newspaper's managing editor. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, we've talked about this lots of times, and whether he's going to run or not. It was really hard to figure out, but I just thought, he looked a little bit reinvigorated lately. He was back.
Me too. Yeah.
He was back on the handshaking tour, and ribbon cutting and all that. And he looked like the mayor of pre-pandemic. So I thought, it looks like he will run.
Seemed to be itching for a fight, if anything. He seemed to be picking fights.
I must say I am surprised. We have to take him at his word that he made this decision back in 2018. But I'd have to say I am surprised.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he says he made the decision on election night, awaiting the results of the 2018 election. I'm kind of surprised by that, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of days ago, he said he'd let us know by the end of the year. Right?
That's right. You know, it's interesting. Our newspaper does a year-end interview with him every year, and I have an interview booked for him at 3 p.m. today that was booked a week ago. Didn't have any idea this is what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think he's going to do now? He says in his statement, "I knew I would be turning 60 during this term of council, and if I was going to have one more career, I needed to move on from elected office." I wonder what he would move on to.
Well, you can only think that's already lined up. But
it's already lined up. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing that made me think that maybe he wouldn't run, because he is 60, which is still a fairly young man, and he can go on and do other things, or travel the world and get that sort of work-life balance worked out that he's always struggled with. So.
Okay, so have you read the statement?
I did.
Yeah.
You know what? It was one of the interesting things for me was he listed all the bridges that were built, and I think in the end, people will say the bridge that he didn't build was between the right and the left of council, or the center right and the left of council. Maybe in the end was his undoing, or made his decision easier. I don't know.
Well, he froze out the core, I think.
Yeah, that's always been the comment. Yeah.
Well, I think he has.
I don't know if it's the core or it's the personalities that represent the core. I don't know if he has a bias against the core, but obviously he has always had a difficult relationship with those guys.
Yes, he has. Yeah. And I can think, and everything, when I think about, say, suburbia Ottawa, rural Ottawa, and the core of Ottawa, I and maybe I should move on from this, but my frame of context is always amalgamation. And when I think about amalgamation, I think about the hesitancy in some parts of the city, namely suburbia and the rural areas, to amalgamation. And now I think if we had to do it all over again, I think most of the resistance wouldn't come from those areas. It would come from the old city of Ottawa or the old city of Vanier. I think that they are the ones now feeling that they have gotten the raw deal by amalgamation. So, and I think that's as a result of the way what I would call the Watson Coalition has been crafted around councillors in the suburban communities and in the rural areas of the city. So,
yeah, and that'll obviously be a big part of the campaign. Who runs and how they bridge that divide, and because Bob Shirley has said more than once in the last few months that he's concerned about the city that the first amalgamated council built is more fractured now than it has been in the last 20 years. So.
Okay, so speaking of Bob Shirley, he said he wants to run. Do you think he's serious?
I think he's very serious. What I know is that he is building a team. He has talked to sitting councillors and former councillors. He is looking to fundraisers. He is putting a team together. So he has all but announced that he's running for mayor.
Okay.
He's doing everything, like he said on your show, to get ready to run. So no one should be surprised if he runs.
Matthew Fleury, do you think Matthew Fleury's going to run?
I think this makes the decision easier for a Matthew Fleury or a Catherine McKinney, that have been thinking of running in a Diane Deans, and then this will bring out others that maybe wouldn't have run if Jim Watson had continued on. But so I don't think this will be a one-person race.
I think it's wide open now. Anyway. It's wide open now. This changes so much, right? This is the pivotal decision has now been made.
Yeah, and I think what you might see too is, you saw Scott Moffat decided that he's not running. I think you might see others that'll decide with Jim gone that
if Jim's gone, I'm going too. Yeah.
Yeah, like the city councilors that came in 2010 with Mayor Watson, I think some of them might decide not to run.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That this could just be the beginning of the change, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I really do.
Yeah. What do you think about his, you mentioned all the bridges that he, it's Max Keeping Bridge, Ottawa Bridge, Jackie Holtzman, all these bridges, although, the two other bridges there.
Right, I think so. I think
Vimy Memorial Bridge and Juno Beach Bridge, those are great names for those bridges, but they...
Yeah.
Boy, it was great. The Airport Parkway Bridge, I would not point to as like a successful project. And the Vimy Bridge, it's a great name and it's a nice looking bridge.
Yeah.
It was a long time getting there.
Well,
that's the one that was called the Strandherd Armstrong Bridge, right?
Right. That's right, and that's the one that light rail was supposed to come across in the original North-South vision. Yeah.
He doesn't say a lot about LRT, other than we must hold our partners to account.
Well, that's right.
Which I'm sure is not the way he wanted to go out on that, right?
No.
It would have been, look, what I've delivered for you, this game-changing, modern, reliable, clean transit system, and it just...
Well, I mean, I go back to that sort of maiden voyage on the first day where they had the media out, and the mayor said, it felt like Christmas morning. I'm sure he didn't think it would turn out this way.
Okay. The Diane Deans clip. We have that from the Sam LaPrade show from yesterday. Sam asked Councillor Deans, are you going to run for mayor? This is what... do you have that, David? Yeah, go ahead.
It is something that I'm really seriously contemplating. I believe that this city is in dire need of a new direction and, some new thinking, and with somebody that has the knowledge and experience.
Okay, with somebody that has the knowledge and experience. Okay, so
yeah, and on that, it's one thing to think about running for mayor, and it's a totally different thing to actually run for mayor. If you don't have organization in 23 wards, if you can't raise at least $500,000 to $700,000, it's one thing to say people are stopping you on the streets, but unless you have that infrastructure in place, when you register, it's a tough slog.
Okay. Longest serving mayor in Ottawa's history.
That's right. Never lost. He's going out.
Never lost an election. Yeah. So, yeah. We'll have lots more to say about this in the weeks to come and certainly over the next year. But thank you for your immediate reaction, Pat. It's greatly appreciated today. Pat Aguccioni, Managing Editor, Community Voice. Ottawa Community Voice. Back right after the news with the latest from Queen's Park. It's our Queen's Park Week in Review with a big update from the Ford government today on COVID-19. That's just ahead to wrap up the show. Rob Snow Show on City News.
News, now on 101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
This is Friday, the 10th of December. Good morning, I'm Jason White. Right now in Ottawa, overcast and -6. It's -3 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news this hour. Breaking news from Ottawa City Hall. Mayor Jim Watson announcing he will not run for re-election in 2022. Watson will leave office next fall after 12 years in the mayor's chair. Jim Watson will be a guest on the Sam LaPrade Show coming up on City News this afternoon. The Ontario government expected to announce it will extend its vaccine certificate rules and make changes to the program. A senior government source says the rules requiring vaccine certificates will not start to lift in January, as the premier previously said. A new piece of art has been unveiled in Vanier, the 7-foot-tall structure honoring Indigenous people, as well as the French and other cultures that make Vanier so unique. It's on the south side of Montreal Road in the heart of Vanier. And you may want to take a poke through your junk drawer. There is a $6.49 ticket around here that is worth almost $66,000. It is unclaimed from the Christmas Day draw last year. You only have 1 year to claim prizes for winning tickets. The ticket was sold in Ottawa. It matched 6 out of 7 of the regular numbers plus the bonus number. City News Time, 11:32. I'm Jason White. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
He's a pillar of community opinion.
The Rob Snow Show returns
on Rogers TV and City News.
101.1 FM
and 1310 AM.
All right, it's time for Queen's Park Week in Review. The gang is not quite all here just yet. Oh, I believe John Fraser's just about to join us. The Liberal MPP for Ottawa South. Is that John? John's on the line. Good morning, John.
I'm here.
Yes. Big news in Ottawa today, John. Big news.
Yeah.
Yes. Our mayor is not running again for re-election, so that's pretty big news. 12 years, longest serving mayor in Ottawa's history. Major impact on the city. Some will say for better or worse, but that's what legacies are all about, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about that later. So welcome, John. Good to hear from you.
Thanks.
Gilles Bisson, New Democrat. Timmins, good morning. Gilles.
Good morning. Been blowing snow for 2 hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Love being home.
Yeah, well, I think, the way things are going here, I mean, it's supposed to be very mild and wet tomorrow, up to 12 degrees. I don't know what that means for our white Christmas, but it was looking pretty good for a white Christmas for Ottawa. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Still some time to go yet. And Donna Kelly, Progressive Conservative, Flamborough, Glanbrook is the riding. Am I saying that right, Donna?
You're saying that right.
Yes.
It's Donna Skelly.
Donna Skelly. Sorry, Donna Skelly.
That's all right. They mix up my name.
Man, I've been getting names wrong all morning.
That's a hard name to pronounce. I get it,
Donna Skelly. Okay. Where is that?
Where is that? It's in the great city of Hamilton.
Oh, it is?
We
Okay.
are worried about snow this weekend because we have a Grey Cup game.
Oh, yes, you have the Grey Cup.
It's going to be a great game. Not only are we hosting it, but we have the hometown.
Yeah, you're in it.
Playing, so it is going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
One Grey Cup thing. I was at the Grey Cup in Ottawa when it was snowing that time. Shania Twain was
Yes,
there.
okay, yeah, with the dog sled and everything. Yeah.
Amazing experience having the snow.
Yeah.
So it might be okay.
That was 2017. Yeah, that was 2017. Well, welcome, everybody. It's thank you so much for taking the time. There will be a cabinet meeting this morning and then a news conference this afternoon to update the people of Ontario about the current situation with COVID-19. John, let's start with you. What are you hoping to hear from officials this afternoon?
Well, I'm hoping that hear a couple of things. I'm hoping to hear that they're going to expand rapid testing and make sure that every Ontarian has access to a free rapid test, like they've done in Saskatchewan and the Atlantic provinces. I think it's really critical. Number two, I think that we have to expand booster eligibility and capacity because it's evident that we have to get more third doses into people, and we're lagging a bit there. And I'm hoping to hear that we're going to make vaccines universal in schools, starting with the 12 to 17 years olds and then the younger students as we get along, because we have to get their vaccination rates up. There's some real challenges in schools in Ottawa. I hope you hear those things. I know that the government's going to extend the vaccine passport. I think that's something that we anticipated months ago. And I'm glad that they're finally saying that, because I think it would be a mistake to end it on January 17th.
Okay, good synopsis there. Gilles, what do you want to hear from officials
much
this afternoon?
the same, but just a couple of things. One is we've been pushing the government in order to, when they announced that they were going to possibly lift the vaccine mandate for the 17th of January, 19th, whatever it was, and possibly take masks off in March, we've always felt that was wrong, because what it does is it encourages people to say, oh, we're almost out of this, don't have to get vaccinated, everything's okay. And it's not the only reason that numbers are going up. Obviously, the flu season and all that is among us.
Yeah.
But it created a mixed message. And what was interesting this week and last week, my colleague John Vantoff and my leader Andrew Horvath would raise the point that there were two different things being said. You had the outside voice of legislature, which was the premier, sort of saying, well, not really. And then you had the Minister of Health sort of skating around it. So I'm glad that they finally did it. It's something that had to be done, but it repeats what's been the issue in this thing from the beginning, is that, the government ultimately makes some good decisions. Not all their decisions are bad, but you got to push them, kicking and screaming to get there. The other stuff that John said, I'm in agreement with. We need to move on those things.
Okay, all right. Donna Skelly, you got the scoop. Okay, what are they going to say? Tell us what they're going to say.
I have an old media background. I'd love to give you the scoop today, but I'm going to let the Chief Medical Officer of Health share the news at 2 o'clock this afternoon. What I can tell you is that we will continue to encourage Ontarians to get their booster shots, and if not a third shot, their first or second. But the truth of the matter is, we have had a pretty good cooperation with most Ontarians. We lead in. The truth is, people are getting vaccines. They're getting their booster shots. Young people are getting vaccines, and all of this will help us continue to have some sort of a normal holiday season, and that's what we want to do. We want to continue to do everything possible to keep Ontarians safe and to ensure that they can have a happy and a healthy holiday season. But when we talk about rapid tests, we do lead the country in the distribution of rapid tests. 34 million. We're putting out 1 million tests. We have 1 million tests, though, that we are distributing every week. As the kids go back now through the holidays, we're giving 11 million tests so that every student in the province has a rapid test at home to ensure that they don't bring the any sort of a virus to.
Not my dog.
That's John's dog.
Sorry
that's
about
John's
that.
dog.
That's mine.
Oh, that's your dog? Okay,
that's
Don.
my dog.
All
He's too spoiled now.
I have a cat.
Oh, well, at least your cat is well behaved. But, I think that we're doing all we can. We're bringing.
I would disagree with that, Donna.
Well, just let me finish.
I'll let you finish, but
Okay, one at a time.
We're
Hold on.
issuing them to the hotspots in Ontario. 34 million to date, 11 million going to students. We're making them available to people through, to businesses, through local chambers. We're doing everything we can. And I think I think we've done an awfully good job with getting these rapid tests to businesses.
All right. Go ahead, Jill. Go ahead, jump in there.
The clock is always right twice a day. So the government has done some good things.
Okay.
So it's not to say everything they've done is bad. But the first point is you got to push them to get there. But the other thing on the rapid testing, the medical community has been saying we need to make this free and available to everybody. There are people that can't afford to go into Shoppers Drug Mart and to pay to get an entire box of these tests to do what needs to be done. So yes, the government is going to provide students with rapid tests. That's a good thing. Nobody's going to say that's bad. But we need to make them available. Second, free to everyone. But the second point is that, saying, Ontario, we've put out more numbers than anybody else. We're the largest province in Canada. We have more population than most provinces put together in some cases. So, of course, we're going to put out raw numbers that are higher. But there are other provinces that have done a better job on the rapid tests than we have here in Ontario.
Yeah. Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead, John, and then I'll let you in there.
I agree with Gilles. I just want to correct one thing. It's at some places it's $40 to get one rapid test, and you can't leave with it. You can't leave with the test. All right, so you can't.
What do you mean you can't leave with it?
You can't leave the pharmacy. You can't bring it home. Test in the pharmacy.
Oh, you can't. You take the test in the pharmacy. Okay.
So here's.
But if I may,
just hold on, Don.
So in Saskatchewan, Scott Moe has made free rapid tests free and available at all the province's co-op stores. And if you know Saskatchewan, that's a lot of stores. The point of the matter is, these are not magic bullets, but they do reduce the transmission of COVID-19, and they really help parents. Like if you can do a test in 15 minutes instead of waiting 2 days sometimes to get back a PCR test, that's really important to families, and that's why they should have been in families' hands in September. And they're actually not in families' hands right now, and there are places in this province where the COVID-19 times table would have said 6 weeks ago, you need to have them there by their report yesterday.
Okay, Donna, you
Okay,
wanted to
I
respond.
wanted to address two of the issues. First of all, anyone who needs a rapid test, if they feel that they have been exposed to the virus, if they are feeling unwell, they can go to any assessment center and have that done free of charge. Furthermore, you mentioned families need these tests. They are going home with students. 11 million tests. We'll be going home with students.
And that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't have an argument.
Yeah, that's good.
But there's people other than students who need these things, and they got to pay for them. And going to one of these rapid, going to my public health unit COVID testing center is not easy. You got to be able to get an appointment. We have one in the city of Timmins. That's it. So you need to make it available and easy for people to get, and it's got to be free.
PCR tests.
Like if I want a rapid test, it should be free?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Like no questions asked, it should just be free? Where
it should be.
Really?
Rob, you should be able to go to someplace in Ottawa, close by here, and pick up 5 rapid tests.
Oh, really?
You should be able to do that. You can have them at home, and if you're going somewhere, you're going to see an older person, and you want to be safe, you take the rapid test just before you go.
Right.
Yeah. You can't go and do a PCR test, right?
Yeah.
Or if your child's been somewhere and they're not well.
Well, John, you saw my granddaughter.
Actually, sorry, I want to get this right. Somebody else has had COVID there, and they were there. Families want to know right away, should I take my child in for a PCR test? Is my child, right?
Okay,
my granddaughter,
let me ask you a couple of more things. By all accounts, there's not going to be anything about schools, shutting down early, opening up late. It's going to be pretty much, by the sounds of things, status quo with the schools. Are you okay with that, Jill and John? Are you okay with that?
I think that we need to reduce the class sizes. That's something we've been saying from the beginning.
Well,
there's schools all over Ontario that are starting to close. They just announced another one in Sudbury. There was something like 15 or 20 infections in that school. We're very lucky here in Timmins. The last school to have closed is where our 2 granddaughters are, but so far I think we have 3 active cases in the Porcupine District. We've been very, very lucky. But we need to reduce class sizes. We need to, I think, sending kids home with tests over the holidays is a great idea, but we need to continue so that, like John says, if you're going somewhere and you're going to be in contact with someone, you can have a test and know that you're not bringing the disease with you.
Yeah, it's just, and look, schools should be the last to close, and we have to do. It's a good thing the rapid tests are going out. They should have been there now. We're going to need to do more than that.
Okay.
But the other piece is, should we be 10 or 12,000 people in an arena? And a school closed, we haven't figured that out, right? In other words,
that's why the rapid
are really important to our economy.
Well,
critical.
Go ahead, Donna. Yep.
Not all the students have the vaccine, and that's one of the reasons why the schools can. Be closed, and if there's a spread of that. But if people are following the rules and they are being checked for double doses of the vaccine, and then I think we can continue to have these large venues, these large events. Don't forget the other thing that we're looking at now, even though we're seeing a higher number because of the weather, et cetera, a higher number of COVID cases in Ontario, including new variants, we are not seeing a rise in the ICU capacity numbers or hospitalizations. That's because people are vaccinated.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to see, and I've spoken to so many families and so many parents who do not want to see schools closed. They want their kids in school.
Well, what about this? It's Grey Cup Sunday in Hamilton, right? You said Grey Cup Sunday in Hamilton, right?
Okay,
hold on, Jill. Let me finish.
Jill, go to the game.
Jill, let me jump in here. Okay. I just looked up. Tim Hortons Stadium is what it's called, right, in Hamilton?
Yep, Tim Hortons Field, yeah.
23,000 is the capacity there.
Yes.
And it's sold out. They had to add 500 seats. The tickets are so popular. Anybody have a problem? Anybody have a problem with almost 24,000 people going to a football game?
Well, I think It's
outside. Yeah.
Even you go to an arena, it might be inside. But the point is, if anybody who goes was able to get a rapid test to make sure that they're safe before they get there, that'll greatly reduce the spread of the virus. And that's the point we're trying to make. We don't want to close down Ontario. Nobody on this panel wants to see that happen again, right?
No, we do not. No, we do not. We most absolutely do not. Okay.
Well, we need more tests, and we also have to remember that the federal government has not, if you look at other countries around the world, we don't have approval by Health Canada for the tests that are being used elsewhere in the world. So the federal government has to step up and start approving some of these other.
What was that groan about, John? Was that a groan, John?
Yeah, Donna, you haven't used the test they've given you.
That's not true. That is absolutely not true.
Tests.
That's not true.
No, it is.
They are being distributed.
Distributing something from one shelf to another shelf is not.
It always works everybody up on this panel. All right, we're going to stop here. Oski wee wee, we're going to stop here. We'll be right back after this. Part 2, Queen's Park Week in Review. Rob Snow Show, City News.
At Food Basics, you always get...
I'm blessed to be married to someone who is a scientist and spent a lot of time following what was happening over in China ahead of time. So he did give us the heads up that this was coming. Not that we believed him right off the bat, but when it did happen very, very quickly, we were prepared. We had hand sanitizer and we were set up to not close our doors. So we locked the kitchen down at Wellington Street, but we left this kitchen open. We put in protocols immediately. We only allowed our very small crew of 4 or 5 people in at the time. No deliveries were allowed to come in or out of the building without, they just weren't allowed in and out of the building. So we met them at the loading dock and had very strict protocols in place right away. We had masks and hand sanitizer and the whole thing. So we're very lucky from that perspective, and we're able to, learn as we went as far as doing small, individually packed caterings, the frozen soup program, food for the Ottawa mission. So we didn't have to close the kitchen and then learn how to reopen it. We just were able to modify and shift as we needed to. Because of our partnership with the Ottawa Mission, we were able to very quickly help support them. They were able to send us some product and some supplies, so it wasn't a burden on our business, and we were able to supply the staffing and the packaging to help produce that when they needed it the most. And we produced about 1,400 meals a week to complement their meals, and we started our soup program right away. We realized very quickly that there was a need in the community to get together and all work together, not only to support local, but also just to support all the people that were suddenly in a position of, being locked down and not being able to get out. So by starting that soup program, our community, our clients got online and started making donations for the soups, and we were able to produce the soups and get them back out to people that needed it. We're right now currently making 150 liters of soup per week, but we've made, I would say, 5,000 or 6,000, easily since the pandemic. Probably more. I'd have to do the math, but lots. I think everybody in the city has to be very aware of how blessed we were to have great weather this summer and people were able to get out and about, and that's going to shift. So we do have to be much more aware of who our most vulnerable is, and I really think we have to work together as groups. There are so many organizations in the city that are doing something and contributing and working together, and I think it doesn't matter who, but see what you can do to just step up and help them, whatever it is, whether it's driving or delivering food, or someone has extra zucchini in their garden, or if they can afford to donate some money to any of these organizations. I just think we all have to work together. We're smarter and wiser than we were the first time.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, we're back. Part 2, Queen's Park Week in Review. That's it, by the way, right? For the legislature, that's it for the year?
Yeah.
So sad. Yeah.
Boy, long time away from the legislature. I looked it up today. No, you're not back until the 22nd of February. What do you do between now and the 22nd of February?
I could tell you were all working.
What do you do? You're just shoveling snow, stacking wood.
Snow, yes, Yeah, everybody's busy. We're all servicing our constituents, doing the things we got to do.
No, I know.
So
I know.
Lots of work. And
They say a break, a big break, but there's never really any days off, are there? No.
It's really more
nobody complains
of a break from each other.
I like seeing you in the morning, John, and I like seeing Donna.
Yeah.
I like
True.
seeing you too,
We actually do have a lot of good friends in the legislature. I was thinking, yesterday we had some pictures taken with some of my colleagues in front of the Christmas tree, which is absolutely beautiful. And we can never, ever, ever forget how much of a privilege it is to be able to work there and to work with the people. We've got good friendships on both sides of the hall. So.
And that's what people don't appreciate, is that we actually get along. Like, we might fight politically, but we get along individually.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
People should recognize that. We're all there for the same reasons. We just have different methods. That's all.
Yeah. That's a good message. It's a good message to send because it's, with social media and things being so amplified and polarized right now, it's a useful message. It really is.
Jill,
Yeah.
They say absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Well, I'm not going to be able to tease him every morning.
And fungus.
We see him come through the cafeteria every morning. We tease him.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
You tease him. About the hair? Is it about the hair, John? Yeah, I could see.
It's not about
John
hair. It's
had
about
great
politics.
hair.
Holy cow! John Fraser pandemic hair is something that I will never be able to erase from my memory.
John Fraser and John Tory. John Tory.
Oh, John Tory. Yeah, holy. Well, I guess he'll be next. We're all still here in our newsroom. We're kind of coming to terms with the idea that Jim Watson is not going to run for re-election.
Hey, can I stop the rumor right now?
Yes.
I'm not running for mayor of Ottawa.
No, but you had a brother who ran for office here in Ottawa.
He ran in Ottawa Vanier.
In Ottawa Vanier.
Provincial NDP, but I don't think he'll be running for mayor.
No. But so I guess now it's because John Tory hasn't announced one way or the other whether he's going to run.
No, that's a good point, actually.
Yep.
I think he'll probably run.
Okay.
Yep.
This week, the Ontario government announced it is extending its paid sick day program until July. Gilles, what's your reaction to that announcement?
Well, listen, if you have to isolate, it's 14 days. You can't go for 3 days, which means to say most people can't afford to be off, so they don't report. That's why we as New Democrats said during the pandemic, there has to be a sick day program that allows people to stay home, paid by the government, not by the employer, so that we're able to make sure that people can stay at home. I got a meeting this afternoon, and one of my people that I'm meeting with is staying home, and he's not being paid because he's got the sniffles, right? So we need to make that available. So, bringing back 3 days of 2 days they canceled when they first got to office is not a lot to sneeze about.
Okay.
Pardon the pun.
John?
Yeah, no, look, I'm glad it's extended, and they clarified the fact that, after a couple of weeks, that parents could use that to take their children to get vaccinated. Look, I agree with Phil. If you have to isolate, it's not 2 days, or 3 days, I should say.
Right.
You need to, and I have a bill before the House, Bill number 7, that does that. I know that Phil's party had one as well, too, Peggy Sattler and a number of other members. Look, I think we need to do more than that for workers. I think this pandemic.
Well, what if the federal government? The federal government is working on a 10-day sick day program.
Well,
how many sick day programs do we need?
But just the thing is, that's for federal workers, and 10 days is actually 2 work weeks.
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah,
This is what frustrates me about politics. I've had 2 of my colleagues, one representing the NDP, one representing the Liberals, and both of them have just given you a lot of misinformation. Currently in the province of Ontario...
Hold on. Let her finish, please. Okay.
Paid 6 days for anybody in Ontario. Gilles, if you have somebody that can't get paid for the day that they're taking off because they have the sniffles, then you're not doing your job. You should be telling them.
I'm going to go and negotiate with the Ontario government?
No.
This guy works for the Ontario government.
They have 3 days paid for by the Ontario government, and you get 20 days through EI. 23 days. So you have enough pay to cover you during the 2 weeks if you want to, if you have to isolate, and more.
Donna, how much is EI of your paycheck? How much do you get out of your paycheck from EI? You don't get your full paycheck, do you?
No, I'm telling you, there are...
Well, you don't even get EI as provincial members.
Misinformation. There is 23 paid sick days. And we're not going to see... and the 3 days that the province is covering is coming out of government funds. It is not... paid for.
And 3 days is okay in the sense it's a step in the right direction. Our point is, the isolation is more than 3 days. So if I'm a person working minimum wage job somewhere, $15 an hour in January, how are you going to afford to be able to stay home for the amount of time that you have to stay home to stay safe? So provide free antigen testing and provide sick days.
Which we are.
Yeah.
We are providing free testing.
No, you're not.
We are.
Don't say you are when you're not.
Yes, we are. We are. Come on.
Donna, please.
We are. 34 million tests have gone out the door. How can you say that isn't providing free testing? Come on. $1 million a
you
week.
actually have to get them to people. And if they're sitting on somebody's shelf in a business,
they're not.
Or they're sitting,
John,
well, they are,
absolutely
Donna.
wrong.
Ask any family in your riding.
Didn't this segment start by all of you talking about how well you get along and how you're all friends?
We get along.
We do.
Right.
We just
Donna, I have to
politically.
correct one thing. Government.
Do I have to call up John Yakubuski and get him to sing Kumbaya for us here?
The guillotine thing with the hand.
Government is not paying for the paid sick days. It's workers and employers, or workers through their employers, WSIB. It's not the government paying for it. There's WSIB premiums that are paid by every business. The businesses are paying for it. That's what your government did. It's coming out of WSIB funds.
The 3 paid
workers' compensation.
Let her finish. Let her finish, John.
3 paid sick days are coming through government funds. The employer is not responsible for covering that wage.
Okay.
It's coming out of the WSIB fund, which is fully paid for.
I'm glad we could clear all of this up. We have to end it there. Look,
already. This is like
Jill, go back to shoveling, Jill. Go back to shoveling. Okay. We're right at a time. Donna, nice to speak. Thank you.
It was good having you, Donna.
I will be cheering for Hamilton. I'm cheering for Hamilton, Donna. Go Hamilton. Go Hamilton. Go Tiger Cats. Go Tiger Cats. I hope it's a great Cup weekend in Hamilton.
Wee-wee.
Yeah, Oscar Wee-wee. And John, we'll speak soon, John. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet.
That's Queen's Park Week in Review. Sam standing by with the Sam LaPrade Show. The special guest is Jim Watson, not running again. That's our top story. You'll hear more on the noon news. This is City News.
The Rob Snow Show.
Weekdays at 9 on Rogers TV and City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Number 1 for local news in Ottawa and the Valley.
Fridays, Lotta Max Jack.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Hello, I'm Jim Watson. This holiday season, let's take a moment to reflect on the past year, count our blessings, and find opportunities to help those in our community who need it most. In Ottawa alone, more than 40,000 people visit an emergency food bank program every month. Please consider donating to the many food drives being organized across the city in support of the Ottawa Food Bank. Stay safe, stay happy, and all the best over the holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we'll see you in the new year.
Being stuck in your home during this pandemic also means